Every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL here on Aegis, where it is time for our lower finals. My name is Gordo. I'm joined by Quacks tonight, and we have got Team Samsara taking on Meebo's Weebos. That's right, it's Meebo's Weebos again. I think that's 3 streams in a row.
Yep.
The only people who play at their scheduled time. So shout out to them, and excited to see if they can keep this Cinderella story going, Quacks.
Yeah, the rescheduling is basically defaulting us to the Samsara streams and the Meebo's Weebos streams. These are 2 teams that we have had a history of covering here this season, Gordo, but now getting to see them in a potentially different light. The best of 5s have officially started, so this is where, at a point in the tournament, some teams are made, some teams break, and we get to see a bit more flexibility from these squads now that they can go the distance and go to those full 5 games, which will really test their pools and test their wills.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. Always every team's goal when they get started in ACL to at least make it to a best of 5. Perhaps none more unlikely than Meebo's Weebos at this point, coming in as a bottom 4 seed in the ACL, making it all the way to topping their group, being able to take out Tempo Rush and then Fisher College, a top 2 seeded team in the playoffs, and now coming in here to play up against Team Samsara. It's absolutely insane. And here they are in top 6, and the question of whether they can make top 4 is open. I can't count them out anymore, especially not after they take down Fissure. I mean, these guys 2-0'd Tempo Rush just a couple weeks ago, and the last time we saw Team Samsara on this stream, they were losing to Tempo Rush.
They were. So it is, I think, really interesting to kind of see how the bracket has transpired so far throughout the ACL, simply because teams that are ranked the highest are not like making it super duper far, right? I mean, Conviction Star is out there no longer in the tournament. And then Fisher, like you said, got eliminated by Meebo's Weebos. So technically, Meebos are, or not, Meebos are the highest seeded team still left in the ACL, so potentially favored to make a deep run to get to that top 4, which would be absolutely insane for a squad that was, like you said, ranked by the committee to be bottom 4, but then managed to make top 4 in the seeding. Wanting to live up to that and win here would, I think, do a lot of wonders for these players that we are still very unfamiliar with.
Yeah, absolutely. Here with that, let's get into our teams here. Starting off with Meebo's Weebos, it is going to be Yoshui, Mr. Fluffy, Jameeb, Noodles, and YHL. They do have an E sub in one position today. I am waiting to find out who that is going to be and what position that is going to be. I will share that information as soon as I can figure out the answer.
So have a bit of a mystery. So
it would appear that it is. Oh wait, okay, never mind. YHL is in here. Who are we missing? I'm looking at. I see Yoshui. I see Mr. Fluffy. I see Jameeb. I see YHL. But Noodles. I see Noodles in the Discord. So that's
all right. Question. You know, mystery. And until next time, we'll be taking a look at that. But I guess just under the pretext and the assumption that one of these players isn't going to be here, but we don't know which one it is, I do figure that it's appropriate to at least single out some of the players that have impressed us thus far, Gordo, at being able to get Meebo's Weebos to make it super high up in the bracket. And I think you look no further than Yoshui. I think that the top lane has been instrumental to allowing Meebo's Weebos that flexibility. We've got pocket picks like the Shen, and I think over the course of the last couple of weeks, especially in tier 1 play, we have really started to realize yet again, like relearn the lesson of just how strong global ultimates are. Twisted Fate has been rising in priority. Shen has been rising in priority. So these champions that can impact the map and traverse macro to get onto side lane plays or overload for a pick have been really rising in terms of how important they are for the draft. And so I feel teams and players that kind of got on that trend and got on that train before it got super popular already have the practice of the pick. So I'm wondering what the priority on champions like Shen is going to be, because Yoshui has shown that he has proficiency on the character.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to bring out. So based on currently available information, I suspect that the substitute will be coming in for Noodles.
Okay.
They are in the Discord. Maybe they're remote or something like that. But that is our current assumption. They actually have all 5 starters in their Discord right now. So maybe a bit of an open question there. The other item in question is who's going to be playing bot lane for the likes of Samsara. Let's bring up their lineup right here, right now, as Team Samsara have played out most of the season with Heretic in the bottom lane. Based on what I'm looking at the lobby right now, I see Kongji, who I believe is rebranding to King K. We should call him King K.
Yes,
formerly known as Kongji, now known as King K, is coming in presumably to play bot lane, or he's just keeping the seat warm while Heretic connects.
We did talk about King K's rebranding on the OQ podcast that Aloxio and I ran during its tenure, now over, unfortunately, as all of the teams that have qualified are moving on to the promotion tournament with Blue Water and AMI. But he basically said that it just came down to pronunciation and being easier to actually say. Kongji does have room to be mispronounced. And so in that regard, I mean, everyone calls me Quacks when they first meet me, not Quacks. So maybe we're alike in that sense, King K.
Maybe, yeah, he's going to be having a little bit of an uphill battle. You know what the real problem is for you is that the like text to speech, the baseline text to speech.
Well, and there's also a bunch of other players that have been QUA in the past. Like we have Quad, right? We've got Quas. Like there's people who have a name with 4 letters and have QUA as the first 3, and it's always Qua, not Qua. So doesn't do me any favors, for sure. But
you really just kind of have to wait for my generation to age out until enough people are familiar with the Pokemon. That's like, you need enough people to have grown up with Quaxly. The Pokemon.
Yep.
And then you'll be
to my credit, I had this name before Quaxly came out as a Pokemon, so I was ahead of the curve. I remember I was in like high school or something like that, and a bunch of people started pinging me on Discord being like, they named a Pokemon after you. What, did you see this like duck Pokemon? He has your name. So that was cool. Speaking of names, though, we do have the Team Samsara lineup on the screen right now. Kappa, Aeon, Toothbooth, King K instead of Heretic, and then Love Ego as the support. And we were talking about Yoshui as kind of this player to look out for on Meebo's Weebos. I think one person that has really impressed me with Team Samsara has been Kappa. I think this is a guy who had a great showing so far in the ACL. When we were on that OQ podcast that I mentioned earlier, a lot of compliments were thrown his way, being newer to the scene, but picking up things very efficiently, being very quick to learn, and just overall the adaptability from this player and the improvement level that he has seen relative to the time he has spent in the competitive landscape has been mind-boggling. So I think not only are we looking at this guy in the context of his matchup against Yoshui, but this could be a prospect that has some really big future implications if he keeps getting better, if he keeps improving. And it's always cool to see players get their start in the ACL and then move on to bigger and better things, which I hope for every single player, but it seems like Kappa has a lot of people behind the fact that this guy could really be something special.
Yeah, this Samsara team is definitely shaking out along with the Calamity roster to be in that category that we've seen a million times now, where they make a deep run here in ACL, and we're in top 6 right now. This is a deep run already. You're playing best of 5, so it's a deep run. And it allows some of the lesser known players on their teams to, perhaps get onto a team that is looking to contend at the next open qualifier. Yeah, I think these guys and the Calamity guys are both sort of in that category. Both have made solid runs in the open qualifiers already, just this past split. And between that and their performance here, I think it's given a lot of people a lot of reason to pay extra attention to the players on these rosters. Unfortunately, Heretic, their other kind of breakout rookie, not going to be playing tonight. No hate to King K, but I think he'd rather Heretic be playing as well.
We've seen King K around the block.
This is King K's team too. He's like in a management position on this team, so he would rather have Heretic playing because he could bench Heretic for himself at any time if he really wanted to.
That is true, actually. I mean, maybe he gets judged for that. Power abuse is not a funny thing. But now, I guess, moving on to the draft, we have started up with the bans, and already we can see some of that global to semi-global pressure being focused on by Team Samsara. The Nocturne going to be focused down here to deny Mr. Fluffy that pickup. Does also maybe dissuade any future Orianna grabs, so I don't think the onus on TSR to ban that is necessarily there now that Nocturne has been taken away. But still, we have been seeing a lot of teams just globally in general and their willingness to go for mid laners blind because of how, I would say, rock, paper, scissors-y the matchups have been, right? We've got like your Ryze, your Cassio, and your Orianna is like your big 3 blinds, and they each have their own counters. It's a bit of a spider web as far as matchups go for mid lane at the moment, and that just means a lot of flexibility and a lot of willingness to blind some of those picks.
Yeah, definitely high up on the priority list there. I'm curious to see what the bot lane matchups are going to shake out like, especially with Meebo's Weebos playing with the sub here. Noodles and YHL have been pretty hot and cold in the playoffs so far. We've seen them have really impressive performances up against bot lanes like the what are the names? Tempo Rush, the Tempo Rush bot lane, but I think they did struggle a bit more up against Fisher. I think they did struggle a bit more up against Contingent, Calamity. There's a lot of C-word names coming on through this split. But it is the Orianna, actually, that makes it through picks and bans. Pretty uncommon occurrence in the current meta. Will get snapped up by Toothbooth right off the start.
Toothbooth, obviously a very good mage player. I think picks and plays the meta champions quite well. But we can see that TSR banned away a lot of the premier ball delivery systems, that Nocturne that we already mentioned, along with the Jarvan going to be taken away. So I wonder how creative TSR are willing to be with Aeon's champion pool out of the gate in game number 1, with a lot of these junglers still open and available and not fearless away. Meebo's Weebos, though, speaking of junglers, are going to go for the Xin Zhao, and now Ashe Seraphine is open. So if you wanted to just immediately give leeway to try and snag up that really strong 3v3 in the early to mid game to unlock Xin Zhao for some of that pressure in the first few minutes of the game, you could do that, but it looks like instead they would rather prioritize a response to the Orianna, and that is going to be the Azir Shuffle, good at punishing a lot of these immobile mages that have plagued the mid lane.
Yeah, I was really impressed by Jameeb's Azir last week. It was a clutch move in a very close game on the Azir that ended up solidifying the win against Fisher. That game was near dead even, could have gone either way. Fisher was super ahead at certain points, and it was Jameeb's Azir making the clutch play to end up carrying through the game for the team. So I have a lot of confidence on this guy, on this champion. His other pick that has really stood out to me has been his Victor. That's been very impressive as well. I was honestly expecting him to handshake the Victor into the Orianna, but taking the Azir Orianna trade certainly makes a lot of sense to me as well. Mr. Fluffy, right up his alley to be going for the Xin Zhao. He's a pretty meta jungler, willing to go towards those kind of staple picks. I think Eon is the same way. So I think both of these guys kind of going to be running down the list. You got the Xin Zhao Wukong here. If Pantheon or Jarvan are left up, would not surprise me to see those. If Nocturne's left up, would not surprise me to see that. I think these are going to be kind of the stable champions. You might see a Vi in there somewhere or other as the series goes on. These are my expectations for the jungle pool. I don't think we're going to be breaking too much new ground there today.
Just primary engage, I think, is what we expect from both of these junglers. Couldn't agree more, Gordo. But we do see the Wukong come in, and think as far as ball boys go, this is probably the best one that you've got still open and available. Also gives you a little bit of frontline Wukong going into things like the Black Cleaver, so you do stack some of that health to be a bit more durable. Add on to the Stone Skin passive, and it does make you good in the extended trades. But it seems like Meebo's Weebos understand the engage tools that TSR are trying to throw down for the mid-jungle duo, which is why I think this Alistar pick, plus the Azir, honestly, all of these champions that Meebo's Weebos have locked in, I think is great at disengage. You've got the Crescent Guard, you've got the Shuffle, and now you've got the Headbutt pulverized combo to just be able to exfiltrate a fight and disengage from some of these tools that TSR have drafted up. I did say the Alistar, but it looks like Alistar is going bye-bye temporarily. What is that about?
Huh. Okay, yeah, the Alistar ban is still there. Yes, they are waiving the ban penalty, and also wait, there is no ban penalty. There is no ban penalty because the full lineup for Meebo's Weebos is here. I see Noodles has joined the lobby on the screenshot the production has sent me. So the E-sub was just there to cover some bases. Maybe they didn't think he'd be back in time. Maybe it was kind of a just in case sort of deal. So I see Noodles in the lobby. That's 5 for 5, baby. So I think the only sub actually coming through here is King K. And he's not an E-sub, so he also doesn't carry ban penalties.
All right, so that's good news. I think it makes the series a little bit more competitively integral, right? Kind of preserves that and just being able to have these teams on relatively even ground. A sub is way easier to deal with than losing 2 bans. So I like that we are still getting these teams at relatively full force going into their first best of 5s and potentially last series of the ACL. I think stakes have really started to grow here. Now that you're in the lower bracket, you have more chances to win, but you also have more chances to lose, unfortunately. Really does feel like a volatile best of 5 coming through here. As we do go toward the bans of the second phase, it seems like TSR are just focusing down a lot of that AD pool. We didn't see a lot of marksman focus in the first phase. The Varus and then the Kalista were really the only things taken off the table. So Ezreal to be able to prevent him from arcane shifting away from the engage that TSR have drafted, I think really good. My biggest concern for TSR's draft right now, though, Gordo, is I like the ball delivery system. I like the Cyclone. These are 2 engage tools. these are not going to stick though. Meebo's Weebos have way too many tools to disengage a fight, to get away, and to just kind of tell them, nope, we're not going to fight you. Try again another time. And that allows them to just pick and choose. And when you've got scaling like Azir, if they're able to pick and choose fights, they're not going to fight you at all in the first 20 minutes. And then suddenly an Azir has like 3 items. That feels like a really scary prospect for TSR to be facing. So something that can be in your face and maybe give you early game pressure to put behind some of these scaling threats on Meebo's Weebos, who can also maybe provide engage and be that secondary ball boy potentially. Maybe that could be something TSR look to lock down in this draft.
Yeah, something to keep an eye out for certain. Enchanters getting banned away up against Love Ego, not a huge surprise there. It's a lot more of an Enchanter-centric player than you would see in the average support. Everybody's playing Enchanters these days, of course, apparently, except for YHL, who has snapped up the early Alistair, but still plenty of options left available here to go alongside the Sivir. The Karma's been banned away, but stuff like the Sona is still available that they are willing to play. Stuff like the Lulu is a little bit more popular of a selection. Could go for just something like the Nautilus if you want a little bit of engage. I think that would be a little bit out of character for Samsara, but it would still come through for sure.
Another thing that you could do is maybe deny the Rakan pairing. We see that Xayah locked in here for Noodles, and so not only would you be getting a, I think, decently apt engage tool for Team Samsara that works really well with things like the Wukong Orianna combo, but you would also be breaking up a, tried and true duo in the bot lane. Husband would be against wife and wife would be against husband.
Possible. There's the Scion coming through for Kappa. There's the Seraphine. So classic selection for Love Ego here. Not crazy surprised to see the Enchanter come on through. Kappa's a big Scion guy as well. So, I mean, they're a real straightforward front-to-back-y team fighty composition at this point. I do fear the disengage a little bit, being able to potentially shut down the Wukong. You've called that out before. It's going to be really hard to lock down these carries, especially up against this kind of composition. But you do have a lot of scaling power with your Sivir Orianna in and of yourself. So if you're able to kind of one-shot on one of these backliners with a combo, that's certainly going to be
there it is.
Forward. And then there's that Shen you were talking about earlier for Yoshui. Personal favorite of his. Another kind of really team fighty focused draft here. This one from Meebo's Weebos. Going to, I think, have a few more angles through which to engage, but maybe a little bit less in the raw team fighting power that something like an Orianna and a Sivir are going to give you. I think you're going to get a little bit less out of the Xayah in the super late game situations compared to something like the Sivir.
I absolutely agree with you. And one thing to note for Meebo's Weebos is the side lane pressure that they can put onto this map. Team Samsara, as far as death balls go, this is about as stereotypical as it gets. You've got your ball boy, you've got your backline. It really feels like a front-to-back comp through and through here from Team Samsara. But Meebo's Weebos comp can pick that apart. You've got the Azir, who will likely be, once laning phase ends, trying to get that solo gold on a side lane and really hit those late game breakpoints to be a monster past the 25-minute mark. And then Shen also can just sit in a side with his ultimate up and basically bait Team Samsara into a fight or try to overload onto him, in which case I think Meebo's Weebos will have the rest of the map to play for. And if they try to go for a fight, that Stand United is going to be a very big deal for me, because I think there is a startlingly apt lack of single target damage for Team Samsara. We've got a lot of circles, but if you want to one-shot a specific member on Meebo's Weebos, I do not think this comp is very good at it, especially adding on that Shen pick. So side lane pressure, overall very difficult to assassinate, and I think the scaling is in Meebo's Weebos' favor. If Team Samsara can get the ball rolling early and just constantly force these team fights, then I think they'll be in a good spot. But anything else, and I think Meebo's Weebos do have a pretty sizable advantage from the draft.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I'm really curious to see what they're going to be able to do with Yoshui's Shen. I think that's a big break point for how good this team draft ends up being. We know that he's super experienced on the pick. I think it's a pretty decent matchup into other tanks as well, especially if you end up going for something like the Titanic Hydra build that you do see pretty frequently. You get to see stuff like Titanic Hydra plus Dusk and Dawn. Yeah, yep. is a Shen build that comes through these days, and it really does give you a little bit of upfront damage. And if you get the pull through on the blade, your ability to trade in lane is pretty significant. And add that on top of the fact that you're going to be porting on top of stuff like Alistair, stuff like Xin Zhao. Your ability to access the backline is going to be significant as well. So I'm really excited to see what Yoshui is going to be able to do on his signature pick here. I think that's a real central point of what Meebo's Weebos have drafted.
I agree. We hyped up the Shen in the pre-show. We said that this is going to be a Yoshui special, a champion that has really risen in terms of global attention in the past couple of weeks, and Yoshui was on that train, was on that trend. He basically picked Shen before it was cool. But he has always been cool on this champion, so his influence in the team fights, his influence to get those big stand uniteds, and his ability to pick apart this Team Samsara deathball comp, all going to be factors and things to look at in this game.
Yep. Meanwhile, for Team Samsara, I'm going to be on the lookout for their bottom lane and how they're going to be able to perform. Double range advantage, I think, is going to serve them pretty well. The early Alistar is not a big part of this current meta for a reason, and it is because it tends to get harassed out by some of these double ranged lanes.
Especially level 1.
Especially level 1. And, you know, the Sivir, people like to say that Sivir has to scale up. Not 100% true. The Sivir base damage with, you know, the boomerang and stuff, if you do land both ticks of the Q, can still be very, very high. Can definitely make life difficult for a bot lane. And the only thing is Samsara is playing with King K in as sub, so how's he going to look jiving with Love Ego when they haven't been playing together all split long?
That is a pretty good question. I mean, I think Team Samsara, how they've gotten this far is playing as a unit, playing as a squad, playing this kind of deathball composition style that has allowed them to out-team fight their opponents. But Meebo's Weebos, this is a team that we kind of went into the split, again, not really big fans of them, rating them very, very low. And then when they started winning, our initial reaction, Gordo, was, okay, what kind of thing are they doing? What unorthodox strategies are they pulling out? What do they do conceptually different that makes them capable of taking on the best teams in the ACL? And then we got to look at them, and it's nothing special. They just play League of Legends, but they do it at a level that we did not expect from them. They have the macro sense of a team that I think, relative to the names on the squad, we would not expect that level to be hit because we are so unfamiliar with a lot of the players that populate this team. And it's so cool to see this band of 5 come through, make it far, upset so many teams, and now up against Team Samsara, who have been around but still are rising stars in their own right. Only one of them, though, going to be able to make it to the lower semis.
Yeah, I agree. Funny enough, I kind of feel that way about both these teams obviously to a lesser degree about Team Samsara, but I think both of these teams are teams where the individual players have struggled a little bit in the laning phase and have been able to make up for it with smart map rotations, good team fighting, wise decision making around where they take their fights and where they choose to engage. So I'm very excited to see them take to the Rift here for game number 1, as we do appear to have loaded in.
We're on to Summoner's Rift for our first week of best of 5 action here in the ACL spring split of the 2026 calendar year, and already seeing some maybe aggressive posturing coming through from Mr. Fluffy. Obviously, Xin a much stronger champion early on, so being able to track where this Wukong is starting going to be important, because we expect Aeon to have less pressure overall than the Xin Zhao. So if Mr. Fluffy can circumvent that pathing and kind of dodge out on that vision and look for these creative angles for ganks, I think it will benefit him greatly to get the ball rolling for his team that, like we said, we favor in the scaling department.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift, one and all, as we get into game number 1, as we do now take to the laning phase. It's a topside start for both junglers, with those wards exchanged over at the topside Raptors, as they both look to exchange any kind of information that they can secure. Nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary in terms of runage for this game, but definitely eyes on this bottom lane in the earlier levels. So far, it looks like YHL and Noodles have not had too much trouble securing somewhat of a position in the bottom lane. It is still just level 1, and the level 2 is going to get ticked by King K and Love Ego first. Oh, beat drop not going to connect. Going to make this trade a little bit tougher. Pulverized headbutt combo comes through on a King K, but Noodles is still just taking way more damage than either member of Team Samsara, and that is with less sustain available. Team Samsara going to be taking some amount of control here in regards to the health bars.
Seraphine really crucial for keeping King K's health bar up there, and now you can see Noodles very low on HP. He's going to be forced to concede a lot of this space on the bot side. I don't think there's really a timer for Mr. Fluffy to cancel the full clear that he has going down toward this bot side and look for an invade just yet, but maybe is something to look out for the future, because I think, like you said, the Xin Zhao is kind of on a timer to make things happen. Once Wukong hits that level 6 and then hits that Trinity Force item breakpoint, I think you as Xin Zhao are officially kind of outscaled in regards to the game. So have to be mindful of that spike for the jungler of TSR. All of the space being bought, though, does mean Aeon gets a cordial full clear and should be able to get this crab no difficulty.
That is going to be the plan. So looking like Aeon well and truly on pace here. Yeah, as you mentioned, that early recall forced out of Noodles will be able to return in time. And on a good pace for his clear. And will be finishing out on this bottom side. Mr. Fluffy acknowledges the situation that he's in, is going to path up towards the top side. So nobody going for anything out of the ordinary. This is about as stock standard of an early jungle route as you see from high-level competitive in the current day and age. No errors to be found from either side so far. Question is, where are they going to go after the reset as their first camp start to respawn? Does look like Mr. Fluffy going to delay that reset, looking to potentially make a gank on a Tooth Booth here fast off his first TP, but going to think better of it.
And this really means that Mr. Fluffy just delays his tempo as YHL forced to flash very low. The range from the Sivir Seraphine showing itself in the 2v2 and bullying out Meebo's Weebos on that bot side. Cancels the recall. Oh my gosh. Very low on HP, but does crucially manage to survive Gordo.
Yeah, but I mean, this is still, you know, going from bad to worse in the bottom lane for Noodles and YHL. Gonna have to likely give up a little bit more CS. Gonna fall further behind in their pacing for their quest. Their pacing to unlock their wards for this support, and are gonna give over another nice free reset over to King K and Love Ego. King K gonna use that for a cull. Definitely still in the scaling mindset with this draft and on this Sivir, but being able to be able to go in with that mindset, a luxury that many Sivirs cannot afford in 2026 Spring League of Legends.
All right, so like we've seen so far, there's really no action that has befelled Summoner's Rift, and we talk about the scaling advantage for Meebo's Weebos. I think that a quieter early game is going to help them out, but like you said, there are scaling elements on TSR and there are breakpoints on TSR where they can look to be aggressive. We kind of already mentioned that Wukong one with the Trinity Force, and then the level 6 from there on out. You can be a lot more willing to play up in these fights, but then beyond that, Tooth Booth on one item with this Orianna is something very strong and will be able to one-shot those waves as YHL's going in.
Going for the combo on the King K. He will be able to get away before the follow-up stun comes through. And it does look like Noodles has been able to pick up enough CS, even in the 1 versus 2, to avoid falling behind in too much gold. Of course, you do value that gold on the Sivir, just that little bit extra. And this is where you can kind of see in most of the lanes, Team Samsara starting to pull ahead a little bit. This is what we were referencing earlier, just that I think we're going to see that in a lot of these laning phases in Samsara, even though they are, you know, still looking to become a little bit more established in many positions, are the more accomplished solo queue players nearly across the board.
They are, and you can see some of that movement I like from Love Ego, where he roams up toward mid just to give Aeon free access to the top crab. This is going to allow Wukong to ding over to level 6, so he is going to unlock that Cyclone. Now the playmaking is available for him, but in response, you can see Meebo's Weebos, Mr. Fluffy understanding that he can't go for the crab. He's going to cross over. Because the Seraphine left, it allowed for YHL and Noodles to push up this lane, and that gives the green light to go for the dragon. So Meebo's Weebos trading it back with something of their own, and I don't think Aeon is going to be able to do anything else on this top side behind just stealing a few of these camps away.
Yeah. Now, Stun coming on through, or taunt rather. Yoshui gonna force Kappa to take a couple of tower shots, but he has got Aeon in his back pocket. Aeon on the invade, pulling ahead ever so slightly here. He's taking a quick little cheater play to steal away the Gromp and has the backup of Kappa while he's at it. Good job by Aeon to just know that he has an opportunity to take a little one camp lead there, and now he's got a whole suite of jungle camps to clear on out as he passes his way on down.
It's around 2 jungle camps here. We can see about 10 CS, so each jungle camp being 4, right? You got 8. It's around that. Maybe he taxed a couple of minions from his mid laner or something, or got a ward. I don't know. But anyway, Aeon is still having a good game, playing the macro out very, very nicely. And I think this also puts Mr. Fluffy in a bit of a bind, because he's going to be clearing out the Wolves, the Raptors, and then the Krugs. And then going for a reset there probably doesn't feel very good. There's not going to be any camps spawning for a long time. Both objectives are down for a little bit. Hey, maybe you just redeploy onto the topside river and can start to get a snowball ahead for your Xin Zhao. I think Meebo's Weebos, specifically the Xin, has been looking for an excuse to try and get this game off the ground, but really TSR haven't been giving him an inch.
Yeah, definitely not. I think really smart controlled play from them here. This is an adaptation that this team, you know, has needed to make over time, as they definitely have, you know, some players that are liable to step up a little bit far, right? We talked about Kappa doing that in some of the earlier weeks when we were featuring this team. I do think he's grown over that time, though, helped to enable a solid little OQ run from this team.
Oh, yeah.
And now the Grub's up and available. Want to see if there's going to be a move here from Meebo's Weebos. They should feel confident with the position that Yoshui is in. He is pretty strong at this timer. And they are going to have that push in topside, so they're going to start it up with Mr. Fluffy.
And there's no roam here from La Vigo. Meanwhile, you can see YHL is moving toward the topside river. So Meebo's Weebos with a numbers advantage, but it doesn't look like TSR had any interest in contesting that objective in any way, regardless of the situation they were in. So Meebo is going to get both neutrals so far in the early game, which is quite surprising, but really good for their game state. With a comp that scales as well as they do and has as much cross-map pressure as Toothbooth, is picked up and knocked up so many times.
Not taking turret aggro quite yet. Might give him a little bit of a window to try to walk out of this one. But the question is, where's he going to go? I mean, he's going to blow the shockwave here to get Meebo out of the way. But there's nowhere for this guy to run. He will be dropping before long. The question is going to be to who and when. Ooh. First blood actually goes the way of Noodles as he manages to get the feather pull back on through. And that's going to be great for Noodles to, you know, get back from the tiniest of deficits to the bottom lane.
Aeon is being challenged here. Stand United.
Yeah, they're calling him over to try to get onto this Wukong. Here comes the Scion ultimate, gonna crash on through alongside that Cyclone, and the damage onto Mr. Fluffy might just be more than they bargained for. Over the wall, Kappa detonates the Soul Furnace for a double kill, and Team Samsara answer twofold.
Good play there from Aeon, looking for the fight, and then once Kappa links up with him, they get the bouncy house over. Speaking of bouncy house, Love Ego gets knocked into the turret, but flashes out, so no harm, no foul there in the mid lane. A lot of gold being given over to Kappa, though. This Scion going to be feasting. He'll push in this wave and likely go for a juicy reset. Should be able to get his first item, so it's just making the Shen matchup harder. We didn't pressure from the Shen being his biggest commodity, his biggest advantage. Scion, though, has the unstoppable onslaught, still has the ability to enter into those fights. So if he can push up in this lane, if he can push up constantly with these waves and have access to the river, he can make use of that ultimate to join up for any dragon fights, to join up for any mid fights. And meanwhile, Yoshui, if he's pushed under his turret, sure, he can respond, but he'll have to give up gold in order to do so. So Kappa going to make that conundrum just a little bit more tricky with the fact that he has an item now and can get that push in top lane.
Yeah, really good stuff here from the likes of Team Samsara, but going to now have that first item onto Kappa. Nice and early, just to keep themselves in a strong position. King K still actually behind on itemization now, as those Yuntal Wild Arrows do come through for Noodles off the back of that first blood bonus gold. So I'm sure he's plenty happy to have that relief, especially with how much time YHL has been spending outside of lane. having some influence over on the opposite side of the map, getting that first kill onto Toothbooth. YHL going for the engage. Now the root comes through before the spell shield. That's going to make this a rough trade for King K.
It is. We see Jameeb
going in for a little bit more. Encore coming across the team. Charm going to connect on a Noodles. Jameeb down. Noodles down. YHL soon to follow. And Team Samsara just have the better numbers in the fight. The better.
Really alone, though.
Yeah, just been left out to dry, dog. I don't know if the rest of your team were on board for this one. That's going to be a kill back to Mr. Fluffy.
It is a bit of a mispositioning there. And now Aeon has to be careful about this dragon. Teleport is being channeled by Jameeb on the flank. They have to finish this objective.
Finish it off. Mr. Fluffy getting on in there, going to find the knock up onto Eon. Here comes Jameeb, fresh off the reset, going to be able to force that flash out of King K. The damage coming through onto YHL, going to be enough to
Aeon
get
is so
that back, and Eon cannot stay alive. Shutdown picked up for Mr. Fluffy, and now it's Toothbooth who's up too far. Flashes back away, Noodles at his back. Does look like King K managed to navigate his way out of there. He's TPing back in the bot lane. This has become chaos in pretty short order, but Team Samsara continue to walk away with gold leads and objective leads.
I do, however, really like Meebo's Weebos' reaction after getting the kill onto Love Ego. The main source of sustain from TSR, the endurance, if you will, to keep going for these extended trades is gone. Seraphine is no longer there to provide the team-wide heals, so that gives them the green light to push up a little bit more. Jameeb had a great flank teleport. They don't get the dragon, but they do get the kills, and they give at least a bit more gold over to Mr. Fluffy. Like we said in the draft, this Xin Zhao really feels like kind of the bridge champion. He is the early game pressure of this comp, and then later he'll pass that baton over to Jameeb, over to Yoshui, and over to Noodles. So the fact that he is in a good spot so far, I think is setting up this Meebo's Weebos comp to have the curve that we were hoping for in terms of who has the power of the team and who really is in the carry seat.
All in all, still a solid gold lead over to Samsara, about 2.5K in their favor. Cannot be mad about that one, but certainly not outside of the grasp of the Weebos at this point. We have seen them make significantly larger gold comebacks over the course of this playoffs run so far, and it is still only game number one. YHL, the big double knockup, really trying to take advantage of the combat power of this Xayah. They're going to get the lockdown on a Love Ego, and they find a straight up 2 versus 2. King K next up on the menu. Combo from YHL. 2v2 double kill. Lockdown from YHL. A beautiful stun. Going to keep Eon at bay as he comes back through with the cycle. He hasn't touched Noodles. Noodles gets the pullback, continuing with the autos. A third kill. 3-0 Meebo's Weebos in the bottom lane.
And honestly, Kappa canceling that ultimate, by the way, I think helped Yoshui and Meebo's Weebos more than it hurt them, because you still get the shield, but at the same time, Shen doesn't actually have to give up anything on the top lane. He didn't have teleport, so if that does go through, they would still get the kills. They would still get the execute onto Aeon as Jameeb is going in and teleport is being channeled.
Oh, there's going to be the dash in. Toothbooth going to be able to create the space back away. Shockwave connects onto 2. And Toothbooth will successfully be able to disengage. But what a move in the bottom lane by Noodles and YHL. Disappears the gold lead and puts Noodles right back into a dominant position on the board.
Noodles now 3-1 on the Xayah, working on that second item. I'm interested if this will be completed by the time Dragon spawns in a little less than 2 minutes. That would put Meebo's Weebos in a very solid spot to fight back for that, as Dragon stacking feels like it has been the subject of a lot of tension in this game so far, Gordo. It's one apiece, so being able to get that second one, give you kind of that buffer for the scaling on your team, potentially if you need to give one up for the future, that could be something to look at. But looking at the current state of the waves, you can see some swappage is coming through here. King K and Love Ego on this top side, and then Noodles, the other bot laner in the game, is in mid. So both teams, it seems, trying to battle for control over this top side because they want to go for the Herald and segue that potentially into a Dragon.
Yeah. Cooldown's coming back up for Samsara right about now. Toothbooth just got Shockwave. Eon about to get Cyclone. Here it is now. Meebo's Weebos in position, but not out in the river quite yet, as they don't have any control over top wave. King K going to be crashing that one in now. Kappa's cheating up, though, like he wants to go for an unstoppable onslaught.
He is, but I don't know if you win this now. Yoshui has the Titanic Hydra complete, and I say that Soul Furnace chunks him down to about 4/5 of HP, and it seems like the Scion is actually demolishing him, so I take it back.
Yeah, I got the pullback there, but yeah, I do think just a little bit of extra damage in the pockets of the Scion, making a big difference there. YHL takes a big attack dissonance combo. I do think this is going to make life pretty tough. Noodles is approaching from the top. This is an interesting fight position. And Meebo's Weebos are going to take the stance that it is not just interesting, but bad. And so I'm not going to pursue any further. That will be Rift Herald going the way of Team Samsara. Are they just going to insta-pivot to the Dragon, though, which did just spawn, and already Mr. Fluffy is there?
Looking at the health of the Dragons, though, none of them are one-shottable except for top lane, and it looks like that is where Aeon's focus is going to be put. Looks for a dive onto Jameeb, but Azir going to sniff that one out like the bird he is and fly away to safety. So this will give first brick over to Team Samsara, but they do concede the Dragon for it, and a lot of bot lane pressure. You can see just how much vision is laid down there by Meebo's Weebos on that part of the map. They can maybe set it for a pick.
They're not that far away from equalizing turrets either. They are on the last plate on this bottom one. So Yoshui presumably going to get on there soon. Does get the nice sword pull onto Kappa as well. And YHL going to take full advantage, punts him deeper in. Might end up regretting it, though there is going to be the Spirit's Refuge to keep them safe for a little bit longer. YHL going to pop Unbreakable Will and decide to back on away as they do not quite have the numbers for this battle. Rift Herald was thrown down in bottom lane. Good spell shield from King K allows him to win out in that 1v1 up against Noodles, and Noodles going to have to give that one up. Shockwave connecting onto Mr. Fluffy in the bottom lane, trying to chase this Xin Zhao down. He will commit the Crescent Guard to stay alive. YHL with no ultimate will get locked down, flashes out, hit by the beat drop, and finished off by Tooth Booth. Team Samsara finally get a pick off. They already took down the bot lane outer, and they're going to look for the inner with this Rift Herald still standing.
And that's the meatball death ball comp that we wanted to see from TSR. They group up, they get a pick, they claim the bot side tier 1 as well. Teleport from Kappa going to also prevent a turret from going over to Meebo's Weebos on the trade. Jameeb not going to be able to pick that one up. And good overall map play coming out from them so far. King K also taking Noodles very low, kind of harkening back to that damage you mentioned about the Sivir in the early to mid game, Gordo, coming back and absolutely shredding the Zion the 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, already 2 items deep. 3 items is where I think you're going to be pretty confidently saying that Sivir has outscaled. Yeah, and he's already getting pretty close. He's already dealing out damage in the one-on-one. And only a matter of time until that's going to become really true on a team scale as well. Kappa is in the middle of nowhere, but he is Scion. He's got a lot of health. They will be able to work him down eventually, though. No point in wasting the flash here. Yoshui picks up that kill.
Not really anything else that Team Samsara can do off the back of that, though, because they were mostly on redeploying to the map. So it is just going to be a kill for free and, crucially, a shutdown as well. So a little bit more gold being funneled into the Shen. And really, I think the big things that we have to be on the lookout for with Yoshui so far on this pick is, hang on, Jameeb is looking for a fight.
Yeah, goes for the flash shuffle back and gets the solo kill onto Tooth Booth. There's Jameeb on the Azir, making it happen for Meebo's Weebos once again. And they're going to rip the Baron off of this, Quacks.
All right, Aeon is on the top side. It is very easy for TSR to discover that this is being started. Love Ego is going to ward over the wall. TSR officially know that this is being hit by Meebo's Weebos, but they do not care. They want to finish the objective.
They pop on the hunt. Jameeb took the reset, went for the TP back in. He wants the fight here. Engage found by Eon, but up into the Featherstorm goes Noodles, trying to dodge out on the potential encore. Will stay alive for the time being, but they've already lost 2 members. Jameeb might be here just a little bit too late. Yoshui coming in on the flank, gonna be able to flash back away for the decimating smash. Tries to flash on the King K, but is getting kited to hell. It's a double kill to King K as he stays alive. In comes the charge from Kappa to finish off Noodles. Jameeb will get 1 more, but will be forced to retreat. Does he have the shuffle away, or is it going to be a full ace to Team Samsara as they're going to claim the Baron at the end of the day?
And there Here's the team fight prowess we wanted to see from Team Samsara. A glimpse of it was witnessed on the bot side, but it comes in to full force around the Baron. TSR get the ace. Love Ego, the only casualty on their side. And now an Uno reverse card hits Meebo's Weebos. A no you as TSR are the ones repping the purple.
And you see the idea there from Meebo's Weebos, a solo kill for Jameeb, and I love the discipline to not go, ooh, turret gold right in front of me, I need that, and instead channel the recall to TP up to Baron to try to get a bigger reward, but the timing's just a little bit off. He doesn't arrive in time, and the whole front line is dead before he gets there. Meebo's Weebos with a big opportunity that does not come to fruition. Team Samsara now 4K in the lead, wearing blue.
Absolutely. And really the big thing here is King K, 3 items on the Sivir. You talked about this being the doomsday clock for the champion. That LDR is going to do wonders in shredding through the front line of Meebo's Weebos. And I feel that they're at a point where they have to give this dragon up. TSR, it is a rite of passage for them. And you would only be giving up the second Drake, mind you. So not the end of the world, but these breakpoints coming through from Team Samsara, I think, are too great. And you just have to survive on the sideline as Jameeb is trying to do that.
Does get Shockwave back in. There's the Stand United in the last possible second. It will keep Jameeb up. And can they get a kill off of this? It's kind of looking like yes, because where's Kappa going to go? He doesn't have the flash. He gets Leon in there for a little bit of backup. Yoshua waiting in on the sides, thinking better. He's so tanky. He doesn't want to end up giving up his life. And yeah, Kappa is just invincible. Wow. Without Noodles there, they just have no chance of taking out this Scion. And this guy's just out of there.
Love Ego with the Sivir, keeping him alive. Only has a Helios, by the way, so it's going to get a lot worse as the game goes on. YHL.
Decent angle onto King K. They know this guy's got no flash from the last fight. Can they finish him off in time? Oh, yeah. Shut down. Going the way to Yoshua. But Aeon coming back in for another re-engage on the back half. Look at Kappa. Still so big on this Scion. Basically impossible to kill Jameeb. Gonna have to slip back out the way that he came as Aeon does find him. And Scion still just soaking up all the damage in the world. They cannot play this 4v4, even with King K dead.
Hey, Kappa's looking at Meebo's Weebos. He's saying, nano machine, son, in his best Senator Armstrong impression. This guy, very tanky. Add on that Seraphine, like we said, and it just makes your task so damn difficult. They've got a Black Cleaver in inventory, but I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying that is just not enough to be able to take down the Scion. I will, however, say that there have been strategies before employed by teams to just ignore the Scion and go for the back line, Gordo. But even that feels like a difficult task for Meebo's Weebos. You don't have a ton of instant backline access, minus the Azir maybe getting a creative shuffle angle. So that means you're kind of just defaulting to front to backs. And like we talked about, TSR's comp are the kings at that. That's what they want you to do. They are baiting them into the exact situations that they desire to look for, and it is working every single time. Second dragon secured. Baron buff has now worn off, but TSR are still firmly in control of this game.
Interested to see how exactly Meebo's Weebos are going to see to look for opportunities to pull the trigger here, work around this Scion. I definitely think you want to see some pen items on one or both of these carries. Uh-oh, Noodles going to get found by Toothbooth. Goes up in the Featherstorm to dodge away from the Shockwave, but has been effectively pushed out of mid as the rest of Team Samsara looking to make a move up towards the top side. Yoshua finally claims that bot lane turret that I said they were going to be able to get easily about 10 minutes ago. And YHL's in the middle of nowhere. This guy's dead.
Yep. Bit of a mad cow disease coming through there on YHL. Just caught completely alone as TSR going to, you know, get some packaged beef for themselves, some jerky on the road to looking to be one up.
When my Alistairs get mad, they just leave the game.
That is fair. I don't think YHL is going to do that, but it would be very funny if that actually did happen. We just see a summoner disconnected right out of there, and teleport actually coming through from Yoshua. They're looking for Toothbooth.
And they found him. He's got flash, but flash to where, dog? He's going down. The taunt going to connect, and this is going to be a shutdown goal to Jameeb.
Yep.
Good call from Yoshua. He's got Stand United if they need him somewhere else, but he's good to go. That's a free play.
I think that ward was placed there by YHL. So in his last-ditch effort to do something before he dies, he gives the flank angle over to Yoshui, as there are no flank angles here. It is a front-to-back team fight brewing.
This is Jameeb going for the half TP down from top lane. I don't think there's a fight breaking out, though. Yoshui waiting in bot lane, does have the stand united, but yeah, maybe again, getting a little over-eager there is Jameeb. Doesn't want the team to fight without him. Takes the TP the second he sees something start, and again, it's kind of wasted.
And I think really for Jameeb, you shouldn't be looking to fight before you get 3 items. You're very close to being able to, I believe, get the Void Staff. So will make you a lot more potent against the front line. We've already established Kappa as a major hurdle for Meebo's Weebos in a lot of these team fights. So will help in at least mitigating his impact and being able to knock him down a peg. But I think until you get that item, you really don't want to be looking for fights. So teleport being expended, not going to be the end of the world, but might also reduce your chances of getting some of those flank angles. And really just, we said we don't want to see these guys playing front to back. We want to see them pushing on the side lanes and looking for these Azir shuffles with a flank. And not having teleport is going to probably make that a little bit more difficult.
Do you think, I'd be curious to watch these tanks trade a little bit more, because it does feel like with the Dusk and Dawn, this 1v1 has kind of shifted back a little bit, especially when he gets the pull through. You can see these trades are starting to favor Yoshui. The only thing is the Sion is so tanky that I don't even know if it matters who's technically coming up ahead.
I don't believe it does. It's just, it's the definition of a wet noodle fight, Gordo, as we're just watching them go ban for ban.
He is winning it, though. If they leave him there for like 10 minutes.
Maybe the big tell is that one champion takes mana and the other one takes energy. So in a sustained battle, Kappa is eventually going to run out of mana. Meanwhile, Shen can just keep refreshing the energy.
True. Yeah. It's definitely true. It's also 3 items versus 2, although Sion's items are a little bit more expensive.
It's like a Metapod v Metapod 1v1.
It is. It is. They're both just getting so tanky right now. There's another knockup. Found is the
good
flash
angle.
Encore going to do a great job of disengaging. Love Ego just to the perfect position. The parries can't get in there. They can't deal damage to King K, and that's going to cost Yoshui and YHL their lives. Team Samsara come up 2 for 0. Meebo's Weebos over force, and this is going to be another Baron for them.
All the health bars blended together. I wasn't really sure which one was the Sivir, but as soon as they separate from one another, it is very apparent King K is not dying in the fight. The sustain from the Sivir is too strong. The Seraphine to add on to that, you are never going to get an angle like that onto King K. He survives. TSR get 2. They get the Baron, and now they're slowly moving toward that dragon, and Soul Point is in their eyes.
It'd be an easy secure for them. The question is, what else can they get? They get the shuffle, but Eon is able to dodge away from the clone. Good job from Noodles to be able to continue to find the damage on through, but Kappa just flashes right over Mr. Fluffy and says, give me both. It's a double kill to Kappa, who's now behind Meebo's Weebos, trying to fight their way out, trying to dash in, trying to make something happen with this stand united, but even the big shield will not keep Jameeb alive for long. 4 members fall. Samsara, with only Eon down, are marching into the base, and this might just be game number 1.
I'm really thinking this will be game number 1, Gordo. Really good team fight from TSR. They keep on pushing. After the initial pick, after that initial play, I was thinking they would just default to going for the dragon, but they keep on fighting. Aeon wants more. He gives his life for it, and TSR, they've got to get him over the finish line.
Going to be just complete wreckage from TSR. Yoshui does not have the wave clear, does not have the damage, does not have any way of stopping this from going down. Kappa's gonna have zombie mode. This is done for. TSR draw first blood in tonight's best of 5 and the first best of 5 of the ACL season.
Might be in for the long haul, Gordo, and best of 5s. It can go the distance, and these two teams have shown that when the pressure is on, they are capable of performing. They're capable of hitting that next level. But do gotta say, some really good overall team fighting from Team Samsara. We talked about the 5v5 potential of the comp, and they won out in every single team fight.
Yeah, they definitely did. And yeah, I think really great stuff from Samsara. I think they really showed kind of what we consider their strengths to be as a team. I think they made the better macro calls. I think they had the right people in the right positions for when these objectives started to spawn. They are able to win out these team fights, and just multiple times, I think it's Meebo's Weebos just taking the ball and running a little too early, right? They find small advantages and they try to turn them into big ones, which is a philosophy that has often served them very well, but just push it a little bit too far. And they're getting to the level of this tournament. They're getting deep enough where teams are not going to let you do that. Teams are going to be playing a lot cleaner in the final weeks than they were in the earlier weeks. And Team Samsara recognizes, even in 4 versus 5 situations, when a team is overreaching against them, and they can punish.
For sure. And another thing that I think really we were looking for more on Meebo's Weebos' end was the side lane pressure. We had the Shen, we expected to be this champion where he can pressure these turrets and really be a nuisance to, you know, get multiple members of Team Samsara to answer him. But that never happened. It was literally just him versus the Sion. Sion was plenty. So that side lane threat was eliminated. And then Jameeb did get a crucial amount of gold throughout the game and was starting to get very close to that 3-item breakpoint, but before the game ended, was never actually able to really complete that Void Staff or make good enough usage of it where it actually became relevant. And so I just think that the early and mid game was set up so nicely from Team Samsara that once you got to those late game spikes and you started thinking about the scaling of the Azir and the side lane threat of the Shen, that became irrelevant, and all that mattered were the team fights.
Yeah, definitely here. Really, I'm excited for the rest of the series, though. I think I saw what I needed to see from Meebo's Weebos to be convinced that this series is going to go more than 3 games. Yeah, I think the fact that they were able to find solo kills in side lanes from Jameeb, the fact that they were able to get 2v2 kills with Noodles and YHL, I think are very good signs for them. If they can rein in some of that aggression, we know that they can find the small leads, so they just need to be able to execute a little bit better, and I think we might have a bit of a banger on our hands here, Quacks. So excited for the rest of the series. Stay tuned in. We're going to get Game 2 up before too long. First things first, ZenMar, you got to shout them out. Your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box that can ship internationally. And they'll provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why they are trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in chat to try ZenMar out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 3,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you to ZenMar for sponsoring Aegis and the ACL, and we will see everybody after a short break for game number 2.
日本限定あ全マーケットを使わった
今日は老舗をしっかり見て回らなくちゃね。
いやいや、ここはジャンル順でしょ。
名前順の方がいいんだよ。
現代か洋代の名前順？
あ？
ローマ字それともひらがな？僕は色で並べるのが好きなんだけどね。全部に対応させよっか。
おお。
80年代のホラーゲーをください。これでみんな幸せ。
ありがとう全マーケット
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where Team Samsara have just taken game number 1 up against Meebo's Weebos in tonight's inaugural best of 5 for the ACL split. Looking to get themselves a spot in top 5. Loser will be eliminated in 5th/6th place. A lot to play for tonight, Quacks.
Yeah, and that makes it all the more surprising, which is what the news we got between the games, Gordo, and it is that Meebo's Weebos have made a substitution in the mid lane. So it will not be Jameeb, at least for the foreseeable future. It will instead be Swiper. So interested how that is going to pan out. Team Samsara, I think, winning out game number 1 through team fight fashion. So individuality from Meebo's Weebos has always been something I think that we have valued for them as a team and as a squad, and some of the stuff that they are able to do on their own and some of those unique flex picks. So what Swiper brings to the table will be something that I am at least out on the lookout for here in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big question mark, right? I think Jameeb is the best player for Meebo's Weebos. I think he has been pretty critical for them, especially in some of these later game team fights, to be able to win out in some of these close series that they've played thus far. I'm sure it's like some kind of scheduling issue. They prepped us with this E-sub before the night started. That's why we thought they were going to be in for game number 1. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough ask for them, especially Swiper coming on in as a player that we're not really familiar with, that doesn't really have a lot of reps at this level. You know, he fits in very well with the rest of Meebo's Weebos, which is unfortunately not a good sign at this level of play.
I mean, the rest of Meebo's Weebos, their players were a big enigma for us going into the ACL, and now they have made us remember who they are, regardless of the result of tonight's broadcast, Gordo. I think there can be no doubt that Meebo's Weebos leave an impression everywhere they go. So it is cool to see Swiper come in. I'm wondering what kind of impression he will leave. But now that we have made our way onto the bans, we can see that there is a good, decent chunk of jungle focus so far. The Jarvan going to remain banned along with the Nocturne. So making sure that those early game proactive junglers and those cross-map semi-global ultimate junglers cannot be snagged up right away. But Pantheon was banned in game number 1, does have that global pressure with the Grand Starfall, and is open here for game number 2. So Meebo's Weebos and Team Samsara could look to index into that.
Yeah, gonna be a first pick Varus for the Weebos. prioritizing comfort for Noodles that is going to give over the Pantheon. I do think if you're not going to have Jameeb, you'd better have Noodles on comfort, so I don't blame them for this selection, taking a power pick over there. But yeah, playing up against the Pantheon is going to be a tough ask. I wonder what Mr. Fluffy is going to go for. They did keep the Nocturne and Jarvan bans on each side respectively, so that is going to limit what options he has available. He's picked up some other spicier things from time to time this season, played a little bit of Mundo, played a little bit of Jace, so we could see something like that. And honestly, now that a Jhin is face up, the Mundo is not the least attractive thing in the world to me.
Yeah, Mundo, Jhin notoriously bad into tanks, so I like that shout coming from you, Gordo, but I'm interested in what the pairing is going to be for this Jhin, because you still do have, I think, the best champions with Jhin available. Nautilus, Bard, and Nico are kind of the ones that scream to mind when I think of what Jhin really likes to play with, but Varus has a similar pool of supports that he really enjoys being paired up with too, so I think Meebo's Weebos could kill two birds with one stone by giving a Varus pairing that is sufficient while also denying something from the Jhin. We are locking in the Vi, so I wouldn't actually hate if we went the Nico route. To be honest with you, I think the engage of the ult with the Vi plus the knockup from the Nico makes it very difficult for these immobile targets on TSR to actually react and to get out of that chain CC.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an option. Could go for the Nautilus as well, as a little bit more of a classic.
A lot of single target.
Yeah, I also don't hate that against what you know that Team Samsara is likely to do, which is probably take another Enchanter for Love Ego. If they get the opportunity to do so. I do wonder which one, but that's been most of their champion pool so far. Maybe something like the Bard going to be high up on the list, and I don't mind that pairing. I think Nautilus plus Varus into the Bard would be good. Nautilus plus, Varus plus Nico into the Bard would also be plenty good. So I think either of these engagers, you know, kind of pick your poison. Instead, it is going to be the Victor. This is a champion we associate with Jameeb, but it is, of course, going to be Swiper in for today. And by the way, because I know there is a little bit of question, this is not the coach Swiper. This is a new player named Swiper.
This is a new player. So that means we aren't going to be getting the Varus pairing right away, and TSR now kind of have to choose what they want to do. Do they want to give a good pairing with Jhin and allow King K maybe a better 2v2 in the lane with Love Ego, or do they want to get an immediate counter pick into mid lane? And they are going to choose the former. So it will be the Bard paired up with the Jhin, the classic combination. And I like this a lot more for TSR than I would have liked Bard for Meebo's Weebos, just because Pantheon can get a lot more active on the map a lot quicker, and Bard can then roam with him a lot sooner too, whereas Vi kind of is held back by the fact she needs ultimate before really traversing the map in these more aggressive avenues, and that probably isn't a timer that Bard wants to wait for.
Yeah, probably not. So the Nautilus and Nico going to both be banned away. Those were the two supports we were eyeballing. For Meebo's Weebos, YHL going to have to go a little bit further down the list to be able to select what he wants to go for. I still think stuff like the Rakan is just fine, if that is your preferred option.
If you wanted something long range, you could unironically do like the Lux, but I feel like that would be maybe overcooking. Cosmic Bindings would be quite easy to land with a comp so far that TSR have hit, which is very, very immobile. So just any kind of pick potential, I think, inherently has value for what YHL might want to go for here, as TSR off of the finished bans are going to go for the Ahri into the Victor. So easy way of getting out of that gravity field and just locking down the Victor to pair up with the Pantheon. It gives you a lot of that CC as a mid jungle confluence, and then on top of that, ultimate from Ahri is up quite frequently, so you can play on these really aggressive timers more often than not, and Pantheon can really just play up more often.
Here's Yanni when you need him.
And Elise is going to be, someone get Yanni. This is his support, loves this champion, has been trying to convince me to draft it for our little team, Heartstuck Capsulo, for a very long time, and I've shot him down at every single opportunity. So I must say, Gordo, a win here for Meebo's Weebos would not only tie up the series score 1-1, but also I feel like you send this to him and then he's never going to live it down and say, see, it can work. You just have to trust me, coach.
Yeah, and meanwhile, this is going to be a top lane Dr. Mundo as the selection up against them. So, funny enough, the tech we were suggesting for Meebo's Weebo is going to be weaponized against them here. I love the Ornn pick. I was going to advocate for the Ornn pick when you're facing down Jhin, Ahri, I think, and Pantheon in the jungle. I think picking a tank top lane is a great option. I think they were setting up for that with the Narban as well. Elite bot lane, going to give them the chance to play aggressively down here. I like that for them as well. My concern, though, is how do you get through this Mundo? The fact that the Mundo is available as the last pick, counter pick topside for Kappa. This is a pick that Kappa likes, too, if I recall correctly. I think he has a suite of top lane tanks that he is willing to go for.
He does enjoy the top lane tanks.
Is among them. And I mean, who kills this Mundo, dog? It's going to be a double dot Varus, almost, or double dot Victor, rather, almost certainly. I wonder if we see the on-hit Varus, is the other question.
I do too. I think that there are a pretty sufficient enough space makers on Meebo's Weebo's comp where you actually can get free hitting on the Varus. Like, the space can be made for you to kind of glide around those fights. So then I think just comes down to preference from Noodles. So that'll be something to keep our eyes on as well. But going back to your Dr. Mundo point a little bit, Gordo, not only do I think that this is a champion who into the Ornn is good enough in the laning phase, but also there's a lot of single target focus here from Meebo's Weebos. I mean, you've got the Vi ultimate, you've got the Elise Cocoon, you've got the Varus ultimate. There are a lot of pick tools that try to single out one member, and you're Mundo. You've got the ability to CC immune yourself on the first one. So I think that him being freed up from the lane is really what can put Team Samsara on the map. I think in lane, this comp doesn't really thrive in the same sense that we were talking about with their draft in game number 1, but this is what Team Samsara do. The drafts are not always favored toward the first 14 minutes. It's what happens after the
Definitely agree here. So we check out the final drafts for game number 2. Not expecting to see Jameeb in the mid lane this game. It is going to be Swiper stepping on in, picking a champion that Meebo's Weebos are plenty familiar with in the Victor. And a lot is going to be on his shoulders here. We talked about doubling down on players like Yoshui and Noodles to be the carry forces in this team if they are going to have to run a sub mid laner. But the way this has transpired with the Mundo in the top lane, he is going to need to be a substantial part of this team's DPS. He is going to need to be the big scaling force in the later game, especially if it's lethality Varus.
For sure is. And I think on the side of Meebo's Weebos, we talked about their comp last game in the context of being able to play out the side lanes, being able to scale, but I think now they're challenging Team Samsara at their own game. This feels like a deathball comp in its own right with a lot of single target picks. So I think that this is a better look from them in the draft than what we saw from them in game number 1. Just overall, I think covers more win conditions. The win condition, though, that I think especially in the early game is the most volatile, Gordo, has to be this elite support. If you can get off the ground running, look for those 2v2 kills, look for those roams, look for that damage burst that your champion provides, and you can start, you know, spreading that influence around the map. I think that'll be really good for getting Meebo's Weebos off the ground. And then when their early game snowballing maybe starts to dissipate, the Victor comes online, the ornaments get unlocked. This feels like Meebo's Weebos to see it when two teams have similar comps, and it is the team fights that really matter.
Absolutely. I hear sounds in the background
Me too.
of the champions. And then I heard it stop, which makes me think we do have a pause. So hopefully we'll be able to get started here very, very shortly. All in all, I mean, lots of eyes on Kappa. I think he had a great game number 1 on his Scion. I think he's positioned to have a huge game number 2 now as well. On this Mundo is the last pick in the draft. It's a really, really strong option up against this particular draft from Meebo's Weebos. It does look like it's going to be on-hit Varus for Noodles, though, so they are adjusting in the face of the Mundo.
They are. And I'm curious how this top lane matchup is actually going to transpire, but my eyes will be glued to the bot lane, Gordo, for the first 10 or so minutes of this match. We can see Aeon So maybe looking for a cheeky invade, but is actually going to get spotted out. Is going to commit to it anyway. Wants to abuse the lack of power that this Vi champion has, especially level 1. You don't take that Vault Breaker. So you are very low on damage. You are very low on everything, and you are very exploitable.
You absolutely are. And they're going to be immediately a tough start for Mr. Fluffy. Again, Eon, I think he tends to jungle by the book a little bit, but when he has these clear on-paper advantages, that doesn't mean he's not willing to abuse them, right? He doesn't play exactly the same every single game. And I think this is a really great, you know, opportunity to abuse from him, right? Toothbooth on the Ahri, going to be able to match whatever the Victor is going for here at level 1, arguably even exceed it. And the same is going to be true. You would hope for Kappa, although it does look like some push has been achieved for Yoshui, and he is moving over to support his jungler now.
We can see that the MW solo laners were pushing in the lanes, like you said, and are able to secure Mr. Fluffy his red buff. So Aeon now kind of relegated toward his top side of the map. This Pantheon going to be behind in tempo relative to the Vi, which I think was, funnily enough, the opposite of what his goal was. The reason he went for that invade was to set the tempo and the just overall timing of the Vi behind him. Now he's behind in the clear. Vi is going to end up on the bot side sooner and probably be the one to take that crab.
Be a fair bit of damage coming on across towards Kappa here. This is going to be the weakest moment for the Mundo, is when, you know, those health costs actually matter. But as the lane goes on, I do really like these Mundo versus tank matchups. The percentage health on the cleavers feels really, really good. Really lets you just work your way through some of these tankier health bars once you're on these item spikes later on. But in the early game, it doesn't matter too much. And Yoshui knows this. That's why he's going for the Doran's Shield, something that'll scale a little bit better as the time goes on.
Percentage of current health, too, which means that the higher your pool is, the more damage the cleaver does. That just makes it difficult for the Ornn to trade back, especially because I think the return damage on the cleaver, that slow, can really put a wrench into things, as Aeon is wrapping around here on to Swiper.
Yeah, I'm gonna find him. Easy charm setup. This is Pantheon Ahri things. This is First Blood going over to Toothbooth.
And that's the lockdown we talked about. Aeon and Toothbooth putting it on display for all to see. And they do get the First Blood. Swiper, smartly enough, does not burn the flash, so we'll hold on to that summoner spell for now. But still, gold being funneled into the mid laner of TSR, a good start for them.
Very good start for them, and really good potential to be able to snowball away with this game. I really like Ahri on the patch with the addition of Deathfire Touch. I think she is one of those champions that got served really well by it. The big keys to Deathfire Touch is low cooldowns to be able to keep it applied.
Refreshing it constantly. So
refreshing it constantly. And single target damage. Yeah, it does just that for you. The interaction between Foxfire and Deathfire Touch, just so good.
It is. Attempted gank there by TSR on the bot side won't end up happening. I like the early game proactivity from Aeon with this Pantheon. I think understanding that Mr. Fluffy has to get level 6 before he can kind of reciprocate that same pressure as the Vi. So has a window, is trying to make the most of it, but is setting his tempo a little bit behind. We can already see that Mr. Fluffy went for the reset, is starting on their Krugs, and will be making their way down to potentially another camp. Dashed over the wall, I think, for the crab, but then realized it was gone. So halting that tempo just a little bit, you know?
Faint level lead built up for Kappa. I think that's somewhat the result of that counter jungling from Eon earlier on. Don't want to misrepresent that, and don't want to disrespect that. Did still accomplish a little something, even though the lasting CS advantage isn't really manifesting itself. We say that as Eon goes in for another invade. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, this at least support seems to be serving quite nicely for Meebo's Weebos. A nice little CS lead for Noodles and the Varus. Going to be up about 2 waves at this stage. Has yet to be able to convert it into a dragon, but eyes on that as the level 6 Scuttler is going to spawn bottom side.
And having the lethal tempo points to playing on hit Varus. So having a CS difference very, very minuscule, as YHL is the first one to take the portal.
One more execute, looking for it. YHL going to be able to pick up the kill, and will put this at Meepo's Weebos bot lane on the board.
And gonna get a reset off of that as well. Push in the wave. I think YHL should logically be taking the Dark Seal, so just giving you that stacking AP, really just, I think, emphasizing how important it is that you stay ahead, keep that kill pressure. Not going to go for the Dark Seal, instead going to go for the Alternator. So the burst damage that you get off of proccing it with the first ability that you hit an enemy with is going to be really good for chunking out Love Ego, potentially again, because that bar did flash, so it makes him very susceptible to getting cocooned. And then if that hits, I feel like it's just lights out for you with this Alternator being built.
Yeah, also, I mean, it's only 7 minutes, but Love Ego has not been really able to get out onto the map here. Has felt like they need to stay with King K to assuage some of the pressure from the Elise. And has made life tough. But this Dragon...
Mr. Fluffy has ult.
Menu. Mr. Fluffy has ult. Eon, of course, does not, but he is dropping a little bit low. YHL stepping in to block some of these shots, but the last one will make it through. And there is going to be the Cosmic Binding. Perfect setup for Tooth Booth. Mr. Fluffy drops before he can even cast the ultimate. Stun going to connect on to the Ahri, but too little too late. Eon secures the Dragon. Beautifully manufactured by TSR.
And you wanted to see Love Ego have the pressure? There you go. Stun into fourth shot, chunks out Mr. Fluffy. Vi gets taken down, and TSR get the green light to engage. They pick up the Dragon along with the kill. And great coordination from them in that team fight off the back of a Bard stun. There is the Bard synergy with the Jhin.
Yeah, really nice stuff there. It was a good idea by YHL. You'd see he really understood the situation, trying to block out on that shot, but King K is patient, waits for his moment, takes the shot, and connects it in just the critical moment. Very good stuff there for the TSR substitute bot laner slash owner slash manager, whatever King K's real role is on this team. He's doing it all.
Slash King, right? It's in the name. As so far setting himself up, like you said, for being really efficient in this game. Jhin, obviously not the highest pressure AD carry early on in the game, but if he can have a... Oh, hang on. Swiper is in trouble again.
Nice sidestep on the Tempered Fate, but I just don't think it matters. Three members are here, and they pump out the damage. Really nicely layered by Team Samsara. No escape options available. And down goes the substitute mid laner yet again.
Love Ego getting on the map like you said you wanted to see, Gordo. Lands a critical stun onto Swiper, now down 0-2 as this Victor, and more gold given over to Tooth Booth, who crucially has already had that Malignance in inventory, so can really start stacking up the damage items, as wants to get ulted by Mr. Fluffy, but will just Spirit Rush away. And good look for Meebo's Weebos, but unfortunately TSR, the mid laner, gets out, and on the other side, Grubs are being taken down as well, so they are getting objectives while escaping death.
Yep. 1k gold lead to Team Samsara, as well as full objective control. No, Sniper seeing a little bit of an opportunity here. Going to be able to force out that flash. He's tanking turret shots, though. Gets a little tunnel visioned on taking out the Ahri, and will be killed. All right, 0-3 down for the Victor. Not the position that you want to find yourself in as a scaling threat, just looking to have a cordial early to mid game into an explosive late game. That is being stunted significantly for Meebo's Weebos. And then I feel if we're not relying on the Victor to be our late game damage, Gordo, a lot of that burden is going to fall onto Noodles. This on-hit Varus is looked at to be the guy carrying fights later on if the Victor is unfortunately not able to pull his weight. And we already talked about the difficulties of playing on-hit with this champion, and the fact that you are immobile, and there are so many pick tools on TSR that can just knock you down and immediately take you out. This is a static Shiv being built up first for Noodles. I've not seen this item on the Varus too frequently, but it is kind of the new on-hit hotness. I'm going to take a little break here as Love Ego was at risk of getting picked, did not get picked. And Mr. Fluffy has not gotten to cast this ultimate yet, which is a little bit rough on the Ahri here.
It is. I think the only target he's really had is that Ahri, and it's going to be harder to Oh, hang on. Ult coming through. Both ults coming through.
Yeah, here comes Eon, and that one shot is just too fast. They try to chain the CC
Eon's
on
alive.
Eon, but the damage just isn't here. YHL would have to produce most of it and just cannot do it at this stage of the game. Eon finds him with the Comet Spear. Quick 2-0 for Team Samsara.
Unfortunately, Elise support is a glass cannon. You do a lot of damage, but you get taken down very easily. Now Kappa looking to be the subject of MW's aggressive play on the top side, but Mr. Fluffy is just too damn low. He is one shot if the empowered E plus auto combo lands. Now Noodles is in trouble. Slow lands.
Oh, Noodles doing a good job putting on the blue suede shoes. Dodges out on 3 of the 4 bullets, 2 of which while slowed. And that is the only reason he's alive.
This is a rough game for Meebo's Weebos, especially in the mid lane. First brick is going to fall at less than 12 minutes into the game. Pressure is being exerted onto the side lanes. Toothbooth on this Ahri is now freed up to basically do whatever he wants. He can go to the mid lane to collect more gold, and then that allows the Bard and the Jhin to go mid, which gives TSR pressure and priority ahead of these future objectives. So the map being played very nicely here by TSR, and their options are wide open, Gordo. But I feel that there really is only one thing they can do at this point. Dragon has spawned. They got the first one. They want stacking to be a win condition on top of everything they have built up in the lanes.
Yeah, you got to give this up if you're Meebo's Weebos, I think.
Absolutely.
You gotta take a break for a bit. Try to get an item on this Victor. Try to get some levels into this Ornn. You know, the Kappa and Yoshui are just going to sit up here in their own little world for basically as long as you let them at this stage of the game. You just got to stop the bleeding, stop giving kills over to Toothbooth at every opportunity you can. Get some items on Noodles, get some items on Swiper. And from there, try to find picks, try to find a better fight. You do have great pick tools between this Vi and this Elise. That's got to be the name of the game.
Now, YHL, you are not built for this, my friend, as stun connects.
And Eon is coming on over. Got to show a little bit of respect to this one. We'll be able to jump on up for now.
Dead.
Noodles coming up for the backup. Going to be finished off. But what do they trade back? They managed to get the execution onto Love Ego. Toothbooth coming back over the wall, getting that damage onto Noodles. Will die to the DFT here before too long, but manages to stay alive. Eon drops down to the last turret shot. Mr. Fluffy against the world, able to secure 3 back for Meebo's Weebos. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered.
MW winning out on the bot side, get some return gold desperately needed for themselves. Swiper picking up a kill on top of that. It was looking a little bit rough for Weebos initially. YHL was going to fall. He goes up and then he has to come down. But I feel TSR, in their attempt to kill the Elise, overextended themselves a little bit, put themselves in a narrow corridor. And for champions like Victor, who have this AoE, who are able to hit multiple targets in a narrow space, that is exactly where they want to fight on Summoner's Rift. Is now, speaking of Victor, he is in some trouble, Gordo.
Yeah, I think he needed to flash that Tempered Fate, but it's all right. He flashes after, and that's good enough. Gets himself out of dodge. And that is, you know, you don't like to have to blow your summoners like that, but avoids going down again. And that big shutdown he picked up earlier is going to be massive. Going to get him out of the DFT, going to get him onto tier 2 boots. Just kind of yoinks him right back into the game. He's still down in gold, but not to such a degree that he just doesn't get to participate anymore. And Kappa stepped up pretty far, took an extra turret shot, but maximum dosage will be enough to get him out.
Look at Meebo's Weebos aggressing up toward that top side. Now maybe punished for it.
Yeah, this is way too far up for Mr. Fluffy. Has Toothbooth on top of him and kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there. Can't get over the wall because of Toothbooth's presence and will eventually be melted down by all of the damage dealers grouped up together.
With that mid lane tier 1 gone, it opens up the map so much more for Team Samsara to establish deep vision. You can see Aeon and Love Ego are moving together, looking to place down these wards in some of these deeper corridors. And now Yoshui is completely split from the rest of the team, but this Ornn is very tanky. I do not think a dive is the best course of action, especially with the Herald being up. I think that is the more guaranteed play.
I'm gonna pop the Ghost. He's going to try to run down Swiper here. Limited options for him, but it does look like he was able to navigate his way out of there, so guess I am made a fool. Those upgraded CDR boots in mid lane do give you a whole lot of mobility. That Rift Herald is the target. I'm just surprised to see Meebo's Weebos here. I feel like getting to challenge this is a privilege that they do not have, but they are going to fish around for a potential steal. Team Samsara have pulled back far enough that Rift Herald is nearly and it does get in there. He gets the steal. Eon had the smite, didn't get a chance to use it. I don't think anyone's picking this thing up, though.
No, they're not going to get the eye, but Aeon had smite. It was within range. He didn't go for it. TSR are going to get kills, but they could have used this. If they had gotten these kills and then used the Herald, that's more space to be bought by them. They probably get this tier 1 top side, and then all of the tier 1s on MW side are gone. Toothbooth gonna have to ult away. A mistake from TSR. They get the kills, but just very uncharacteristic from them, I feel.
Yeah, very odd for Eon to not find the smite there. Maybe it just came up.
Was it a visual bug? Like,
It's a good question. I'm pretty sure he had it, but I don't know. Maybe it had just come up or something. Either way, not going to end up coming on through. A small hiccup in an otherwise solid play.
Right.
Again, I'm surprised Meebo's Weebos even tried to step up and contest there. They just do not have the tools to be able to brawl. They were down on numbers on that play as well. It's just need to play a little bit more slow and steady with it and try to scale up with Victor Orn, especially with on-hit Varus too.
Yep. They are starting to get some items under their belt, but I don't think it's sufficient enough to where they can actually challenge TSR for this dragon in a little over 30 seconds. This would put TSR on soul point, and the clock would officially start ticking down for Meebo's Weebos, as this is that is a complete lie. It is not the Mountain Soul. It is the Chemtech Soul. So, I mean, Chemtech Soul Mundo is a nightmare. I think yeah. So, Meebo's Weebos, they're really going to have to start, I think, shaping up their game. If they give up this dragon, they will be on a 5-minute timer to turn things around and look to contest then and there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a full 5-on-5. They're going to pull the trigger.
Now
they think they got King K. They think he's up too far, but the carry's not going to be able to show up with the damage. Toothbooth distracting them all on the opposite side. He's going to be able to escape as well. YHL jumping up with the repel. Will be able to stay alive for now, but it's Noodles who's in too deep with no way back out, and Toothbooth coming back in on the flank. Will be the first one to be able to find the first kill, and now Yoshui trying to return fire gets a little bit down, but the damage just cannot manifest. Love Ego finishes off the execution onto Swiper, and Team Samsara have successfully pushed back Meebo's Weebos. They win out the fight. They lose no members, and this is going to be soul point going to TSR.
Yep, uncontested too. Mr. Fluffy is all the way on the top side, blinking health bars for the remaining members of Meebo's Weebos who didn't go down there. It is only a 2-0. So not the most consequential fight in the world as far as kills are concerned, but now the game gets a lot more rocky for Meebo's Weebos. They've got 5 minutes to shape up the map, look for something to try and get this game back into relative gold contention of TSR, or else Chemtech Soul Mundo is going to dive turrets, he's going to get under that fountain laser, and he is going to bathe in it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just feels like this needed to be a more pick-centric game plan from the moment that Swiper went down 0-3. Trying to step up to these 5-on-5s just feels like it is a doomed task. I think the better moments for Meebo's Weebos are between these objective spawns when they're forced to split their team to collect waves. That is where Meebo's Weebos can overload, can use Vi Elise to make a pick to get a little bit of gold back. That needs to be the priority here. Just, you know, seeding and or handshaking waves in between objectives is just never going to work for them.
We've seen that attempted too, but it just kind of feels like to no avail, as Ornhorn is popped, but Kappa's very tanky and has the maximum dosage. I do not think you kill this guy.
Yeah, saves it pretty long. Oh, meanwhile, Tempered Fate has caught Noodles in the jungle, and it's Eon getting on in there with the Grand Starfall, picks up the first kill. Toothbooth collapsing from top, will make it 2. TP in is too late from Swiper. He is just going to get fed into the meat grinder as Toothbooth finishes off YHL, chases down onto Swiper for a double kill. 4-0 TSR. That's going to be Baron.
That should also be the game. That feels like the straw that broke the camel's back. Baron now here when there are very few turrets remaining that stand between TSR and being able to break open the base. Kappa almost being able to do that on the bot side with the demolish proc on the Mundo. Doesn't take down that turret, but TSR are not going to be concerned about that. It's not an if they can break down the base. It is a when. Baron secured, and Meebo's Weebos. A miracle would be needed as they are 10,000 gold down here, Gordo, at 21 minutes.
I've said it many times this season, Quacks. I've said it many times this playoffs. I've said it many times on this stream. But now perhaps more than ever, it feels like the Meebo's Weebos story may be coming to an end. They will be having at least a game 3 after this. We are in best of 5 territory, don't get me wrong, but without their star mid laner, with a really struggling game number 2, it feels like their chances of being able to walk away with a win here are dwindling.
For sure are. And for Swiper, an introduction into the ACL, focused down relentlessly by TSR in the early game. Did get a kill onto the bot side, really the only glimpse of light that we saw from Meebo's Weebos here in match number 2. Other than that, it has been perpetual darkness, and now Ornhorn is going to look for a last hurrah. Mr. Fluffy has a flank angle, but you're not doing anything with that. TSR walk it off and will continue their siege onto the map.
And Kappa, we talked about him being a potential star this game. He didn't even become relevant. Toothbooth and Eon able to get that snowball rolling so quickly, so efficiently. They have been the stars of this game number 2, and it's feeling like it is going to be very tough. Still a little bit of time left on this Baron. Continue to see what else they can find. They're going to try to collapse onto Toothbooth.
All right,
this
is the overload that you talked about.
This is the overload. Searing charge going to get Zonia's away. Toothbooth trying to kite this one out. They will be able to get Yoshui. Here comes the Grand Starfall trying to bail him on out. And a flash away from Toothbooth will be enough to keep him alive. The cavalry gets there in time. Stasis plus Spirit Rush plus Flash keeps Toothbooth standing through it all. And TSR are going to close out game number 2 in a dominant
Kappa. Oh,
minutes.
no. Oh, he's Mundoing him. He's giving him the Mundo treatment. Forces the flash into his base. TSR with a convincing win. Now 2 up in the series, looking to bring us to series point and wanted to end this game very early.
And Team Samsara coming alive here. Obviously the favorites on the night, but on their own little story here to be able to make top 4. It's struggling group stage, not being able to come up with as many wins as they would have liked. They finished that group stage 3-2. They ended up on a 1-2 loss to Tempo Rush. I think they definitely came into this season thinking that they would be able to be a lot stronger out of the gate. But they have scaled with time. They were able to find a win up against Conviction Star early on in the playoff bracket. And now coming on in, looking like they're going to be able to win their first best of 5. And on the verge of securing top 4 in this ACL.
And I think an underrated source of praise that we have to give going into the post-game, Gordo, is Love Ego. Some really key, crucial early to mid-game Bard plays. We talked about 10 minutes into the game about how he wasn't being freed up, making those plays in mid and really roaming around the map. As soon as you said that, he probably heard you. He said, all right, bet, landed a bunch of crucial cosmic bindings, got a bunch of kills and roamed the map really nicely, paired up with Kappa, or Aeon rather, to carve out some space in the jungle and just make it so difficult for Meebo's Weebos to look for comeback plays. I think a large portion of why we didn't see overloads possible from Meebo's Weebos in game number 2 was because the Vision was constantly spotting out attempts before they could even start, and a lot of that is tributed to Love Ego.
Yeah, really, really strong stuff from Love Ego here. I think a really good game number 1 and game number 2 as well. There were some really clutch Seraphine ultimates in that first game as well. The laning phases have been good for Noodles and YHL. It just hasn't been enough to get over the finish line. I'm very curious to see what they draft for themselves in game number 3 to try to get their win conditions back. I don't know if they're going to be able to get Jameeb back for game number 3. My current estimation is no. So Weebos, I mean, backs against the wall. It's been an uphill battle for them the whole bracket long. We're going to see with the last chance available to them if they're going to be able to keep that run going. After this break, we'll see everybody in a few short moments. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, our lower bracket quarterfinals. So that says finals up there. It's not quite there yet, but Team
A little bit of a ways away.
Team Samsara up 2-0 over Meebo's Weebos. And this may be the last gasp of the Weebos, Quacks. They've had a hell of a journey here so far, being able to make playoffs, being able to win on out on their seeding matchup, getting a top 3 seed, getting in here, winning 2 playoff series. It's all been huge for them. But let's see if they're going to be able to keep this run alive. Their backs up against the wall. Team Samsara 1 win away from locking in top 4 in this ACL.
And it would be absolutely massive for Team Samsara. I think especially when you consider the results and the overall journey of the organization, they got really close to being able to actually qualify for the promotion tournament. They lost to DME in, I believe, I want to say 2-1 fashion. So narrowly missing out on that. And this is a team that I think has been really fun. You kind of alluded to it in the post game of the second match, Gordo, but the growth overall from not just the overall teamwork of this team, the growth in that department, but also the individuality of these players has been really cool to see. We kind of talked about the team fighting in game number 1 and 2 as the main way they usually win games, but I still think we have seen flashes of brilliance from every single one of these players individually in the lane. Do think we shouted out Love Ego Tooth Booth on that Ari in game 2 as well, was definitely putting in work against the sub swiper, so credit to him on top of all of that. As now we are into draft for game number 3. Nocturne going to remain permabanned. Jace now going to be the focus here, trying to limit some of those comfort picks for Kappa.
Yeah, definitely. First pick does appear to be in the hands of the Weebos. So what will they end up going for here? Could still have their choice of a high prio jungler. The Jarvan is notably still up. Stuff that also remains a high priority. It hasn't quite been banned away. I mean, some of the bot lane duos, perhaps. Varus has been taken away, but Seraphine gone too, so no Ashe Seraphine, but stuff like the Karma remains banned as well, but you know, you can still see some of the duos left and available, stuff that you're willing to pair with the Nautilus, if that is your preference. Some of the more scaly options, stuff like the Ezreal still up, even though you can't pair it up with the Karma.
I wonder if the Lucian Melio priority rises at all for either of these teams. Usually the answer into that is the Vi, and that is Fearless away. So I think Lucian Melio could be something that Samsara look to slam away on 1-2 here. Now that Jarvan is shown, you have an easy way to get out of the Cataclysm. You have an easy way to disengage the Jarvan. I would honestly think this is probably a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, I agree. That's still a high prio option for sure. There are still some of the really high prio mid laners in and around the meta still up and available. They're looking at the Ezreal. All right, so I mean, the classic Ezreal pairings are like the Bard and the Karma. Neither of those are going to be options. That doesn't mean there aren't other things
too, that's
available. Nico could go for. That is definitely an option here too. And we know that Love Ego plays other enchanters as well. So I guess it would be the craziest thing in the world to see something like a Sona, like a Morgana, if that is really where your bread is buttered. I actually really like Morgana into stuff like the Jarvan, because you can't bring Black Shield as Jarvan. Like CC based champions that don't do magic damage actually struggle big time into Morgana. But the Nefiri lock-in, I love this for Neon.
This sets up for a very facilitative role for Tooth Booth as well. I think the Annie still being available is kind of the best pairing for Nefiri at the current moment. So interested if they are more, I would say, wanting to go for getting the mid jungle right away, or wanting to pair something with the Ezreal. Because I feel like if you don't pick up the Nico now, the odds of it being banned away are very high going into the second phase.
Yeah, I mean, I could see an Annie Nico rotation here for the Weebos, but no, instead looking over here to take away Kai'Sa Nautilus.
Full engage.
I mean, the Kai'Sa's good into the Ezreal, and the Nautilus is good with the Kai'Sa. So I'm down for this. It does mean, of course, that the Nico is not going to be available to them. It could still be taken by Team Samsara. Find out if that's where the priority is going to fall. They have to choose between Nico and Annie, though, on the Team Samsara
do.
side. Presumably, the other one should be banned away.
I would go for the Annie. I think Annie, especially into Nautilus, or I think Nefiri, especially into Nautilus, has so much counterplay. Like, I think that you are able to dodge out on a lot of the CC, a lot of the pick that Meebo's Weebos have drafted up for, and just having that guaranteed lockdown to facilitate that champion and get it ahead, I think is really crucial. Whereas Ezreal doesn't necessarily need as much support in order to be strong later on. Really, a lot of the pairings are about giving him a better time in the laning phase, and I do think if TSR want to, they can be a bit more creative in that regard.
And wow,
Leona. Okay,
Leona, a bit of a wild card. I'm surprised to see this from Love Ego. I'm surprised to see this with these champions drafted. I'm surprised to see this from Team Samsara.
I'm surprised to see this with Nefiri, because this is this is like, Nefiri gives you the option for a non-committal engage, and I really don't like that for champions like Nefiri, who don't want to be the only guys going in, because you are so squishy and you want to save that W, that untargetability, for as late as possible to potentially disengage the fight after you have initially gotten a pick. If Leona throws out a solar flare to stun a target, but then Nefiri is the only one that can react to it and actually go in onto that champion, they set themselves up to be vulnerable if the rest of Meebo's Weebos are in the area. So going into the second phase of drafts, want to see more stuff that can go with the Nefiri, that can fight with them, and Hui lock-in is not going to fulfill that itch. It's not gonna scratch
so I mean, Annie and Nico just not on TSR's radar. I'm very surprised.
Not in our regime.
Yeah, this would and you know, people have different champ priorities and different draft approaches in ACL compared to, you know, stuff like LPL, where we grind our teeth most nights, quacks. But yeah, I mean, this is a big surprise to not see those champions come on through. Ziggs as the counter to Hui. Love this for Swiper if it is something he's comfortable with. I would not have minded seeing an Annie here either, but if people who don't play pre-made comp don't want to learn and play Annie, I get it. It's a little bit of a miserable champion to play in solo queue. The Ziggs coming on through, going to be a good option for them, and then they have to round out their draft now with a top laner. Yoshui has lost out on some of his favorite blinds. The Gnar is going to be banned away. His Nasus is banned away.
Renekton.
You could go Renekton. I haven't seen a Yoshui Renekton before, but it is an option. His Shen is gone. His Sion is gone. His Ornn is gone as his go-to blindable tanks. And, I mean, there's a whole lot of Fearless left to play. So if you win this game, you're going to have to show us a lot of champions. Let's see what you've got in the tank, Yoshui. This is a tough ask for him to start having to show us some new stuff. Volibear! Let's go, brother. Cook it up.
All right, so Volibear plus Ziggs really has good setup with the Cataclysm. Once you lay that down, you just kind of open the floodgates for these big AoE ultimates to deal max amounts of damage. So I think really the big thing, the big piece that I'm looking at for Meebo's Weebos is Mr. Fluffy in this game. Not only how well he can link up with the rest of his team, his soul laner specifically, to get that ultimate synergy down, but also he needs to be getting this game going fast. I think if you're going for a full engage comp and you are falling behind, it's only going to get rougher for you into the mid to late game, because you really only have one way of fighting back, and that's to go into the enemy. This is not a comp you want to go into if you are behind. So I think that TSR have kind of forced Meebo's Weebos to react and be proactive in the first 15 minutes, and a lot of that burden does fall on Mr. Fluffy to achieve. Last pickup here going to be the Jax, so giving more elements of scaling to TSR. I think this comp with Jax plus the Ezreal does have a better time post 25 minutes. So again, emphasizing the proactivity needed and just getting that snowball rolling right away from Meebo's Weebos.
Yeah. I like the Jax selection here for Kappa. This is a different look from Kappa than what we normally get from them. This team usually looks to him to play frontline, to play tanks, to play weak side. This time around, going to have a little bit more of a proactive role to play in setting this guy up. I do think you're going to want to path up here as Eon, because if this Jax starts to fall behind the Volibear, it's going to be a major pain.
Volibear needs gold. If you are falling behind as Volibear, you have very little uses outside of like your inherent damage, unless you're planning on going like full tank, sustain, last in fights forever with that like 3-second maxed up W, then you really don't have much else that you can achieve outside of your damage profile And I think the same can be said for but has been rising in popularity and priority just because of how well it pairs with a lot of the common mid laners of today's meta and just how much usefulness you can get from a champion like this. So Aeon gonna want to be proactive early, Mr. Fluffy gonna want to be proactive early, and the top lane matchup where they will both be pathing. Aeon.
Oh, they're going all in for this Nefiri, and looks like Yoshiwi's all over him here. Flag comes so close. They need to land one more skill. It's a flash auto from Mr. Fluffy to secure first blood for Meebo's Weebos.
All right, it looked like Aeon made the rookie mistake of unfortunately taking a spell before your camps go up. Usually you're gonna save that just in case you get invaded or any level 1 shenanigans happens. He didn't use W, didn't use E, so I can only assume he skill leveled Q first, which does end up coming back to bite him. First blood over to Mr. Fluffy, and also gonna steal away that blue, so taking away a camp from the Nefiri.
K getting really aggressive down there in that bottom lane with the stacked up lethal tempo, really trying to push some damage onto the lower range Kaisa and making it work. They do take an early lane lead. Let's see how far they will be able to push that one, as good timing on the stun there from Yoshiwi. Appears to be used to this matchup, and I nearly got no League of Legends.
Am frozen on my side.
No, we're frozen on both sides. Okay, it's buffering. Give it a few seconds. I think this is just a pause. All right. Thank you for putting our fears at ease, Caddy. This was an issue we had on Friday, Quacks. We had to leave and reconnect to the game like 4 times. So,
oh wow.
Riot Client's doing Riot Client things again. Luckily, we appear to be on the other side of it today.
Looking at the top lane 1v1 between Kappa and Yoshiwi, as we don't actually have time for that. Aeon is looking for an invade, does get spotted out. Both of these junglers only level 2, by the way, so very delayed on trying to get as much gold as possible, but they are at least achieving the proactivity and instigation of looking for as many fights as possible as quickly as possible.
Hook going in. They're going to try to pull the trigger here onto Love Ego. Eclipse is a hell of a drug, plus Aftershock will keep that Leona tanky for now. They will get the flag and drag on through, but that's going to leave Mr. Fluffy vulnerable to the dash over the wall and the execute from Eon. And now Zenith connecting on a Noodles. Perfect shot from King K. Will get that kill, and looking for the triple, a hat trick to the King K bot lane.
And that's going to push up for King K, so he's going to come back to all of that stacked wave under his turret. He'll be able to free farm that, double buffs, and 3 kills. This is a dream start for any Ezreal.
Beautiful, beautiful start for King K. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for TSR. And it is just going to be from bad to worse for Noodles and YHL. Been on the back foot from the first wave crash, and now a massive advantage for the TSR bottom lane that they're going to be taking all the way to the bank. Noodles just going to pick up a cull. And it's safe and scaling up in the bottom lane.
But
now.
Not something you want to be saying for a Kaisa, if I'm being honest with you, Gordon.
Nope.
You want to be taking the fight. Kaisa not wants to fight. That is just how the duo works. So if you are resorting to passivity and looking to just kind of weather this storm, especially against a champion like Ezreal who outscales you, that is a bad look for the current situation of the Meebo's Weebos bot lane. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. Mr. Fluffy is on the top side. He is pathing down, but he still has an entire jungle to clear before he can do anything about the predicament that has hit Noodles and YHL.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to remain on the back foot for quite a while. It's double buffs Ezreal as well. I guess the one saving grace here for Meebo's Weebos is that this Volibear is taking a bit of a lead in the early phases of the top side, has the wave coming into him, feels confident in his ability to take these fights, and with Counter-Strike down, we'll just be able to take some powerful trades into the likes of this Jax.
For sure. And Counter-Strike in this matchup really doesn't have a lot of usefulness for Kappa. Sure, you dodge out on the stun, but you're going to get hit by the E, you're going to get hit by the Ws. Those aren't auto, so it's still going to hurt you. And in an extended trade, until you get some items and some armor and those resistances stacked up as the jacks, in terms of just raw damage, Volibear has you beat in that department. So it kind of forces Kappa to play respectfully. You can see how he's kind of dancing that line on the wave, trying not to be too crazy as he's going
for the dive, but he's up against Exhaust.
No Exhaust!
Down. Solo kill to Yoshui. Meanwhile, King K might be up too far. That's a juicy shutdown for the likes of Mr. Fluffy. But with Eon already present, YHL going to have to back away. A 1-for-1 exchange in the bottom lane. The kill gold going to Mr. Fluffy. Meebo's Weebos will take that.
But Aeon also getting kill gold for the Neferi. So the snowball element of this TSR draft starting to come around. Dragon is also on the board, and with resets required from Noodles and YHL, he might look for that objective, but he's going to think better of it. He's going to cross over to his top side. Mr. Fluffy is going to redeploy on that part of the map too, so he just wants to make sure that no camps will be lost, and this crab is secure for the Neferi as well.
Bombs still coming on out. It's been a rough laning phase for Swiper, even with this Ziggs counter pick. Seems like
Did that bolt spot the Nautilus, by the way?
Great question.
I agree with you.
I couldn't tell you, but Love Ego's going to face check into it anyway. But Aftershock plus Eclipse, once again, hell of a drug. Really difficult to respond to. And wow, look at that spiraling despair.
Wow.
Doing so much in the fight. Love Ego is invincible. Regenning health.
There's no mana from Ziggs.
Fourth and center. Finally, he'll drop on down. And Toothbooth now is out of mana. Flashing, looking for one more auto. Cannot connect it. YHL pulls him back in. And now just waiting for one more auto. Connects a true shot barrage to cash out his 4th kill of the game as YHL beats down Toothbooth for his 2nd.
All right, a lot of trading happening there in the mid lane. Stormbreaker used by Yoshui on the top side. Dredgeline connects onto King K, but no ultimate from Kaisa means you can't really follow up. Speaking of ultimate,
speaking of a 2-level advantage for Eon, he just takes care of Mr. Fluffy, no problem. This guy is tremendously ahead on the Neferi. He's been farming 3 quadrants, and he is going to make sure Mr. Fluffy knows about it.
And that is absolutely insane to think about, considering that Mr. Fluffy hasn't even gotten a full clear of his own jungle camps off yet in terms of CS. He has 28, right, which is a full clear plus a crab, but he stole 4 of that CS as the blue buff for Aeon. So hasn't even gotten full clear plus crab worth of CS.
Okay, they're going to be able to get a little bit of damage back off the back of that Mega Inferno Bomb. Pulled back in is Kappa by YHL, but Mr. Fluffy is just made a paper. A flash in from Yoshui, trying to get the execution on Eon. Eon with nowhere left to go. YHL, he's just stacking up the kills, man. There's no one else to give him to.
Right.
A 3rd one over to YHL.
He had to take that one. Honestly, really good tumble in there from Aeon because it denied gold from the Volibear. Still, though, some given over to Meebo's Weebos, but all of it being given over to Nautilus it almost feels comedic at this point as Toothbooth takes Swiper very, very low. Dragon has been up for some time, Gordo, and now that Profane Hydra is complete, I feel like Aeon should be able to clear the jungle so fast and then look for objectives.
Look, man, like, all right, we're going for Love Ego again. This guy is so tanky. And will just throw out the solar flare. Now the turnaround coming through on a YHL. He does not have nearly as many tools left to stay alive, and he will melt down, no problem to Eon. Noodles next up on the menu, trying to kite this one out. Has access to the flash, gonna need to use it. Gets smited, dodges out on the double daggers, dodges out on both of them, and will be enough to stay alive. But they're pushed out of the jungle again. Eon's gonna take another crop.
YHL, I think him being the only casualty of that fight is a good case scenario for Meebo's Weebos. It looked like TSR could have gotten so much more gold, but they only get just the support. So a silver lining here, maybe not much of one, Gordo, but hey, down 0-2, I gotta try and be an optimist.
All right, that last exchange confirmed something for me. I do think Counter-Strike dodges Volibear W. I wasn't clear on that. There it happened again. Yeah, so it's It applies on hit effects, whether it counts as an auto or not. Sometimes those are weird, but coming close to finding the solo kill there is going to be able to get the flash out of Kappa.
Now Kappa's got to be very, very careful how he expends those spells that he's got once he is under the turret. King K.
Okay, wait, he applied plasma there. Doesn't have the killer instinct, though. So King K should be able to stay alive, no problem, and has Eon at his back as well.
Boy.
Here comes the flank. Solar Flare connects onto Noodles, and this guy's just got nothing left to get himself out of dodge. Eon will claim one, and nearly gonna find a second. Actually going in for the reset. Hound's Pursuit. There's no way Nautilus gets another kill. It actually does go the way of the Ziggs. That's one going over to Swiper, but there's the Severing Bolt to claim one right back. Toothbooth gets it.
TSR have been having a sharpshooting competition with one another. We got the fun little True Shot Barrage rather thrown up at that fight near the Raptors. Ezreal being able to pick that one up. That was his 4th kill of the game. And then there, the fadeaway from Toothbooth on the Lightning Bolt gets himself a kill. Looking at the current state of the game right now, I mean, 4,000 gold difference between these teams, Gordo, at not even 12 minutes. That's a rough situation to be in for Meebo's Weebos. Yet again, it feels like similar to game number 2, TSR are just playing the map better and are that much quicker on the trigger.
They certainly are. And such a big lead for both of their carries is just going to continue to make this very, very difficult. I don't know that I love that Mr. Fluffy has chosen to go in for the Profane Hydra while he's so far behind on the Jarvan. That's just going to make him die all the faster. I guess he's just fully indexed into either I find in one-shot Toothbooth or we're doomed.
Has to be the way, but I mean, Toothbooth critically does have flash, so one-shotting Toothbooth is going to require you to chain up that CC, and that is a thing that we said Meebo's Weebos had. They've got a lot of lockdown, but they really haven't had opportunities to use it so far. So you can see maybe looking for something here in mid.
Going to be able to find the lockdown here. They will get the Mega Inferno Bomb combo, forces the flash out of Toothbooth. But so much damage has been dealt to Swiper that it's kind of hard to even play the game. And there's a combo from Toothbooth to just find the execution onto Mr. Fluffy in the 1 versus 2.
And that was absolutely nasty from him. Now Love Ego is tanking up the turret. There's nowhere for the Ziggs to go. But he
well,
gets the
there's
shutdown.
one way out, and it is through. Swiper getting 1 kill. The Hound's Pursuit is surely going to be the death of him, though.
The 1-for-1, probably not what TSR were hoping for when they started up that play and that attempted pick onto Swiper, but still, more gold given over to Nefiri. Now 6 kills at 12 minutes, so averaging a kill every 2.5-ish minutes, Gordo. Very good marker here for Aeon. And I love seeing this guy on carries. We've seen him on a more facilitative style that really, I think, plays well with the lanes, but now he is the subject of TSR, the main guy that will carry the team. King K maybe in a bit of a pickle.
Taking down to low half, but that's about all the tools that Nukes and YHL have to offer. And Kappa TP's in, connects the counter-strike, and will cut down Noodles. Gonna get both of them here. King K gets 1 kill, the other goes Kappa's way. Yoshui will get a turret for his efforts, or at least some plating. But TSR continue to just absolutely slam this bottom lane in game number 3.
This is feeling really reminiscent of game 2, Gordo. Kind of alluded to it in an earlier point, but Meebo's Weebos, try as they might in the laning phase, just cannot stand up to TSR. And I'm just now noticing, what is Yoshui building?
He's collecting the Dragon Balls. He's trying to make a wish. But no, I do think this is a... I don't know if it's on a Volibear specific build, but there are...
Is this like a Jack of all trades hack or something like that?
I believe it contributes to that, yes, as Yoshui is getting, actually turning back around onto King K. The help of Mr. Fluffy going to let them take that kill down. Big shutdown over to Yoshui. Yep. But yeah, he's going to build all of those into some item or another eventually, and they actually are, you know, nifty little stat sticks on a champion that likes health and CDR the way that the Volibear does.
Volibear is a stat stick champion, for sure. And that kill from Meebo's Weebos on the top side does give a little bit of gold over to them and a buffer. But at the same time, Nefiri picking up another one. I just feel like really the reason why this game hasn't progressed super far is because, guys, we're only 15 minutes into this match. The objectives are dying faster than they're spawning, and TSR, with all of these kills, haven't really been able to convert it into anything meaningful on the map. Herald just spawned literally as it goes up toward the ground of Summoner's Rift. It's going to be taken down and put 6 feet under by Aeon. They are doing everything they can to accelerate this game, but the game, unfortunately, doesn't seem like it can keep up with them.
Yeah, I mean, the impact of that is that this lead has not gotten to like unrecoverable territory. They've only taken down 1 turret. Now they are starting to claim a little bit more plate gold. They are starting to, you know, pull, especially King K, further ahead of the pace of the game. But yeah, they didn't start the dragon stacking super early, so they're not going to be threatening Soul super early. So it's important for them to continue to balloon this gold lead more and more to truly, you know, make good on their early game advantage.
Absolutely, and I think the more pressure they put on, the harder it is going to be for Meebo's Weebos to look for that comeback. Because again, like we kind of talked about in the draft, is now King K is dredge lined, but should be able to just shift over the wall. Yeah, gets out of dodge, gets his recall canceled. That's annoying, but such is life. Meebo's Weebos, though, this is a comp that, like we said, wants to engage, wants to fight, wants to play these 5v5s on their own timers. So if you're put behind at this point in the game, which they are, really your only response is to go in and fight and just look for desperation plays. And that never feels good.
Does not. And now, I mean, really rough situation. Oh! True shot barrage nearly taking out Swiper. It's hard for this guy to be able to farm. He has just been consistently shoved in by Toothbooth, has not been able to match the clear, and has not been able to match the poke either. Toothbooth just been better in the skill shot accuracy department here, and that's gonna be a full combo on a Noodles. You gotta watch out for the severing bolt here, buddy, or that's gonna be a solo kill to Toothbooth under the turret.
That's pretty rough. Noodles goes down, and look at the map. It is just dominated here by TSR. Toothbooth is in the bot lane. Kappa is just having fun. This is just a top laner's dream. The entire map is falling apart in front of Yoshui's eyes, and he's saying, I gotta 1v1 this, Jax. This is what needs to be done.
Yep. And
the game be damned. 3-0 be damned.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshui would love to be able to pick up this turret, would love to be able to get that objective bounty. I'm sure that's coming up here very, very soon. Question is, will he be able to do much to be able to help out the rest of the team? Objective bounty gold does go on over. Once again, a fight being fished for. YHL throws down the depth charge. Will be able to land on a King K. All the ultimates get popped on his head, and they will be able to pick up the first kill of the fight. Aeon throwing himself back in, but quickly finds himself outgunned. That's shut down gold to Noodles. Good dodge out on the Zenith Blade. Will get Noodles out to safety for now, and Toothbooth may have arrived too late to clean up much of anything on the backside. A quick 2 for 0 with shutdowns included to Meebo's Weebos, but they're so low. I don't know if this Dragon is in the cards at all. They've got to give up some space here.
All right, he's playing big game hunter here. It's that game with the shotguns at a bar. He's
Flash
just looking
in,
at
Kappa! He's trying to get his way out. Bouncing bombs raining down from over the wall. Love Ego gonna have to flash his way out of there. Kappa in much the same territory. Severing bolt finds Mr. Fluffy. Toothbooth can do no wrong. And Meebo's Weebos, you just needed to get out of there, guys.
UIC2, he's trying to play a bit further up, but will eventually take his leave and go for a reset. Another fadeaway kill given over to the Hui. Style points and aura farming here for Toothbooth in game number 3, Gordo. And as we kind of look further beyond, TSR favored now in this game, and if a win comes through, they would 3-0 Meebo's Weebos to move on to the top 4. And I think really getting all of your impressions done before you get into that situation where you can lay down the groundwork for where you place your team amongst the remaining squads here in the ACL going to be very important. And I think Toothbooth is carving out his name in the skulls of the Meebo's Weebos members, or more specifically and accurately to Hui, maybe he's like painting it on their skulls.
Perhaps. And yeah, I mean,
You
Didn't have the easiest Orianna game to start off this series, but oh boy, has he taken control since then. Toothbooth, a really impressive back 66% of this series. And looking like he is going to be the main force to try to close this one out. Gold lead is a little bit lower than it was a couple moments ago, thanks to those shutdowns that Meebo's Weebos were able to secure. Objective bounties have in fact dropped off, but the lead remains nonetheless. Very difficult to find favorable opportunities on the Meebo's Weebos side. They need to be able to produce more of those kind of chain CC Mega Inferno Bomb combos, and TSR just aren't giving away too many of them.
They really aren't giving them any chances. And Baron spawning up, I think, if TSR can find like a crucial pick onto Mr. Fluffy, frankly, if they can just do this and then transition it into Baron, I think that is more than enough for them to try and force the end game stages of this match. They're looking to beat their record.
Now, here's the question. Have they overexerted themselves here? A lot of tools blown onto Yoshui, who is just kind of healing his way back up. Dive into the backline from Kappa, but this Jax is very behind. They're going to look to try to chase him down. Flash forward. Yoshui looking for the damage. 2 kills come through off the back of the Cataclysm. Eon trying to back away. TP coming in from Toothbooth, and Toothbooth is where so much of the damage does sit. They will eventually get their man. It was the bear. Yoshui tanking up everything in that fight long enough to secure 2 back for TSR.
Mega really low, but landing his Qs all the same.
Edge line into the wall. They don't have any more tools though. YHL getting turned back onto. Mr. Fluffy coming around to the backside. YHL maybe's baited him in
barrier
for long enough, and they will be able to find their kill.
They get the kill. They're going to pick that one up for now. Some gold being injected into the Meebo's Weebos members. But 4,000 gold behind. Baron up and off the redeploy. They're not going to be able to do much to actually influence the map. You can see that YHL is moving toward this top side, but he's not going to be able to save the turret. And then from there, TSR will have all of the outers at the very least taken off the board. So to be able to extend that vision line around this Baron, look for those picks and then go for that objective. It is just clean, surgical, precise league being played here by TSR with a hint of spiciness here and there. These fights haven't been the cleanest, but they haven't been so consequential that it has put them in a precarious spot.
I do think Swiper, though, getting these kills, getting these extra boons of gold after how far behind he was, are pretty big. The fact that Ziggs is now on 2 items means that these bombs do just hurt, and the range is something that is not going away. So once it has the damage to back it up, it's a very squishy team comp out of TSR. They're a couple of bombs to the face away from pretty much, you know, 3 or 4 of these members just being taken out of the fight entirely.
Stacking items for the Ziggs does have to be a concern. I absolutely agree with you in that regard. But for TSR, there's so many ways to get out of the Mega Inferno Bomb. Not to mention the mobility, but like there's untargetability from Aeon, right? There is bonus armor and MR that can be brought from the Jax if there are, you know, enemies around for him to hit. So just kind of feels rough when that can be easily avoided. Even if a Cataclysm gets dropped, I feel you still, as TSR, have a way to get out of that conundrum. So that conundrum is really all that's plaguing TSR at the moment, but Swiper is going to have a lot to worry about.
Swiper going to have to get out of there. Does stay alive, though, and there's the full combo for Mr. Fluffy. Almost finds the kill, but the shield is huge. Mega Inferno Bomb going to be enough to finish it off. That's a 1-for-0 for Meebo's Weebos, and I think the fight's going to stop right there. Spiraling Despair gets good damage back, but there's not enough members to be able to keep the fight going. Quick pick on the Eon. Throws another bone back in the direction of Meebo's Weebos.
All right, Aeon gets 1 shot. He will be up by the time the dragon spawns, so TSR will have every member on Summoner's Rift for potential soul point. But Meebo's Weebos finding some fight back there. That was no damage number to scoff at. Mr. Fluffy laid a full combo and 1-shot the Neferi. If that happens in a team fight, TSR are going to be in deep trouble given how many resources they've invested into Aeon this game.
And I mean, once again, a lot of time, a lot of resources spent trying to catch Love Ego here. Now they're going to turn it on to Kappa. Once again, this guy's in pretty deep, does have a nice leap strike to get himself out to safety. But this is Dragon number 3 spawning up. Meebo's Weebos interested in it. They have control over the river. Eon has respawned, Two-shot barrage comes through, only connects on a YHL. And they're going to look to try to secure themselves some poke wherever they can, but that's big damage coming through on the Swiper.
Got one.
And he is sniped. Now trying to take the fight back out front to back. Going to be TSR, and they have got themselves an incredible setup. Yoshui hunted down and finished off. And TSR, they're getting their dragon.
And not only should they get the dragon, but the Baron is up as well. I honestly think that they can divide all of their members toward that top side to focus down on that. Mr. Fluffy is up, but I think you can easily get both. They're going to instead just settle for the one, so they will get soul point, but no Baron, Gordo. And I think the siege power of the Nasher is very instrumental for trying to look for the end stages of this game. Don't think soul is nearly as important. So a little bit of, in my opinion, TSR not taking the lead as far as they could have, but still a convincing fight win and on soul point nonetheless.
It's been found on the side lane, does use that Grandmaster's Might. I don't think Mr. Fluffy will be able to chase him down, so he's going to have to give that one up. Like the Baron suggestion you made, Quacks, but it does not end up coming through. So it is a 5k gold lead to Team Samsara. They are on soul point. So very close to breaking this game wide open, but maybe not quite in that territory yet. Meebo's Weebos have shown that they can piece together some good fights here. It's 3 items on the Volibear, a full item up over Kappa.
And we talked about this Volibear in the importance of needing to lay down the damage, be a prime force in the team fights, and if you weren't going to be the damage dealer, indexing into full tank. And I just think the way the lane phase shaked out, where Yoshui didn't get a ton of gold, decided to defer to tankiness. So I like that adaptation coming through from him.
Pulling the trigger, he wants to be able to get on a tooth boot. They did find the stun, and in goes Noodles to execute him with the killer instinct. TP coming on through. That's Kappa trying to join up on the fight. Eon gonna get pushed away. King Kappa is the one who has to be able to stay safe. Yoshui gonna be able to find one stun on him. Damage coming in from Swiper on the opposite side, but he's gonna get dove onto by Eon. There's a big Cataclysm locking down 2, but none of them are named King K. But look at what this Volibear is able to get done. Yoshui, it cuts down another, and all 4 members sans King K drop for Team Samsara. Meebo's Weebos pull the trigger onto Toothboot and find the team fight that they needed.
And Meebo's Weebos step up to the plate when it matters most. Baron going to be their reward. They will stall out the timer for TSR to try and get the 3-0 in quick, successful fashion. A wrench has been put in their plans, and they hit them over the top of it with it.
Meebo's Weebos, every time we count them out, they have had something else to say. And they might just be pulling this game number 3 back. They might want a 4th shot at taking out Team Samsara.
It's 2,000 gold that just separates these teams now. And I feel like a lot of it really has to be off the positioning mistakes King K potentially found.
Depth charge is up. They're going to be able to keep on top of this guy, but there is no Cataclysm. Mr. Fluffy may have overexerted himself. Another Dredge Line going to connect. They're going to choose to send in one by one, but this might just be sending in bad money after bad money, as every attempt from Team Samsara, or from Meebo's Weebos rather, will fail. 3-0 TSR.
All right, the Ziggs is still up. They've got wave clear. They should be able to, at the very least, salvage this game from this point. I mean, 20 seconds on the death timers. It's not like TSR can end. And look at the landmines. It is stopping the advance of the minion wave. On top of the Baron empowered minions, they're not even going to be able to break open this base. They have to defer Gordo to the side lanes and trying to stretch Meebo's Weebos thin. But only 2 members alive, being able to clear this much and prevent this much pressure from being put on by TSR still is stalling out the game, is allowing Meebo's Weebos to look for more opportunities. Dragon is up in a little over a minute. They have a chance at redemption when it spawns.
Yeah, they're going to need to be able to pull out another fight out of the hat. Some tools to keep your eyes on. Yoshui does have the exhaust. That has been hugely impactful in some of these fights. And it's really going to come down to if they're able to get onto a backline member or not. When they're able to start this fight by one-shotting Toothbooth or King K, it's been absolutely massive for Meebo's Weebos. If they are able to full send it onto a target, it is a much, much easier fight for them. If they aren't able to do that, The continued damage from TSR has just been more than they can deal with. And these poke battles are intense. Really good poke tools available for both sides.
It definitely is. And I think really the only person that can withstand, absorb, handle the pressure from TSR's barrage of damage has been Yoshui. This volley bear has been so critical in allowing for space to be bought by Noodles, for allowing engages to be had by Mr. Fluffy. But if he gets sectioned off, if he gets separated from the rest of the team, the fight becomes infinitely harder. Dredgeline lands. Baron buff is going to run out soon, so Meebo's Weebos have to make this transition down toward the bot side river.
Eon is on a deep flank here, and I just don't know if that's TSR's game. I think they would much rather be getting engaged into and trying to kite back.
Teleport.
TP coming on in. This is also Kappa looking for the flank. Our Weebos just going to turn onto him. He comes in with the dredge line or with the counter-strike already running, and that's just going to let him jump right on to the likes of Swiper, and that might just do it. Flash forward right onto the head of Noodles. Both carries down for Meebo's Weebos, and nobody left to stand against Kappa. A triple kill to the Jax. Took him all game to be able to find a fight that favored him, but he seizes the opportunity, and Meebo's Weebos are forced to retreat. Dragon Soul to Team Samsara.
They should be able to get it. No jungler, no problem. Mr. Fluffy and Yoshui are trying to push in here. They're just running in.
Well, King K is trying to solo the dragon pretty much right now. They will collapse back around Yoshui. I think they were hoping this dragon would be lower.
Yeah.
And that they could sneak in a steal, but no dice.
Right, he's going to be thrown to the other side. He's really just trying to dance around, looking for an opportunity to steal it.
Fear from Tooth will stuff him. And Meebo's Weebos will be near aced, lose the Dragon Soul. Team Samsara now have broken this game open.
There's no Baron, though, for another minute and a half. So TSR, I think, are going to run into the issue that we keep kind of bringing up for them, and that is the wave clear from Meebo's Weebos. I think you need your Baron minions to be repping purple before you can really think about sieging the base of Meebo's Weebos, unless you can find a pick, unless you can find an engage, and it might be onto the Ziggs, one of the primary wave clear tools for MW.
Yeah, that's just an easy pick there. Once they have the Nephiri involved, a flash Hound's Pursuit from Eon will finish him off. And now the respawn comes through for Mr. Fluffy, but they are still in a 4 versus 5 situation. Team Samsara gonna have free reign of this map for a while. You've got to wait for Swiper.
Yeah, you really do. And Wave is pushing in mid. And nobody on TSR is immediately reacting to it, though. It looks like they're more concerned with deathballing on a side lane to try and just brute force their way through this game. Aeon is also going for a reset, so I feel like TSR are taking it easy on them for no reason. They've got the soul. They've got the 4v5. This is a timer to try and break open the base, and they aren't taking it, Gordo. They are stalling out for what feels like no reason, probably just waiting for the Baron. But I feel you could have at least taken a turret.
I remember talking about this during their series against Tempo Rush. I feel like this is a Team Samsara weakness that we've seen before, that they are just a little uneasy about closing out sometimes, but we'll see if that comes back to bite them this time. Dive onto Noodles. He's going to be able to go into the stasis and stay alive. Returns good fire back onto Toothbooth, who is going to be able to flash away from the incoming Volibear ultimate. And Yoshui, he is just starting to fall off as this game goes longer and longer. Healing a boatload, but it just doesn't matter as the forces at TSR have gotten too strong. YHL able to fall back away, but that is a 50-second death timer on a big polar bear. And TSR once again securing themselves absolute control.
Gonna use that control to get onto the Baron, so this really puts them on a timer in my opinion. You have the opportunity to end the game. I feel like they have forsaken the chances in the last 5 minutes to really propel this match forward, to break open the base, to get the inhibitors down. But now with Baron, with Soul, with 5 members up and 2-0 for TSR, they can put a bow on this series and move to top 4, Gordo.
A good interrupt there found by Swiper. Understands his interactions, gets good damage back onto Eon, but it is just delaying the inevitable. He will fall down. And TSR, again, 5v4 on the map, again, picking the Ziggs. and very close to closing this one out. They're surely going to get inhibitor turrets on this Baron push. Here's the dive in from Lavigo. They're just going to try to focus down YHL, take away the last remaining engage option as Mr. Fluffy is forced to retreat back away. Dumping damage into Yoshui. Hound's Pursuit Reset going to let him execute that bear. And TSR, member after member, will ace Meebo's Weebos. A clean 5-0 and a clean 3-0 in the series. Team Samsara lock in top 4 and eliminate Meebo's Weebos.
Their first best of 5, and they don't even let it get past game number 3. Gordo, a dominant win for TSR as they're looking to pad the stats against Meebo's Weebos one last time before this game ends. Swiper will respawn, but he will stay alive. The Nexus, however, will not. 3-0 complete. TSR move on to the top 4.
Team Samsara, a terrific run through playoffs so far. Struggled earlier in the upper bracket, got knocked down here by the likes of Contingent.
Agree. Plenty convincing for me as well. Just good gameplay, overall good game sense, and I felt like the most close match, Gordo, was game number 1, unironically. It felt like game number 3 had some moments later on, but all of those victories for Meebo's Weebos, I was like, yeah, you're getting gold, but you're not actually transitioning it into a threat that can lead you to be in control of this match. At least in the early game, it felt like Samsara weren't in control of the game, and Meebo's Weebos could have snowballed that into something greater. Obviously, they weren't able to do that, as the 3-0 indicates, but just generally, I think good mid to late game stuff. Balls excels into team fights, and we saw that in full force in this best of 5.
Yeah, no, really excited to see Samsara continue through their run here. So they will be playing their 4th place match up against the winner of Apex and 4 Twinks. Apex and 4 Twinks have rescheduled to tomorrow, I believe. So we will not know the result of that game for another little while. But that is going to be the match to keep an eye on Friday, along with Contingent versus Calamity. All else being equal, I think that Contingent Calamity will be the game that we stream. We traditionally do watch the upper final. So eyes on those games. Going to be an exciting Friday's worth of games. Going to be 3 more match days left in this ACL quack. So we are
we're approaching the end
here. What are we, 10, 11 days away from this, from being able to crown another ACL champion? It's sneaking up on us fast, but you can feel it with the best of 5s getting started.
And the tension and the overall, I think, quality of play is increasing with every single week that we go through. The teams are getting whittled down, picked off, taken away one by one, and only the best are starting to remain. Gordo, that is what it's all about in the top 4. And I can't wait to see how the bracket evolves going into the final few match days that we have left in the spring split.
Yeah, really exciting stuff here for the back half of the playoffs as we get into these final few stages. Meebo's Weebos, been a good run, been a fun time. The clock has struck midnight. We're back to being a pumpkin, but you know what? It happens. It happens. So much further than anybody expected this team to be able to go. So much cleaner play than anybody expected. An unfortunate little asterisk that they weren't able to play with their full roster on this final day, but of course, you know, the schedule's known. It is what it is. Very happy with them, though. Hope that they come back for summer ACL. Was really excited to see what this team was able to do. And excited to see what Samsara are going to be able to continue to do as they keep on playing out. I do think we're going to have some sort of interview here. So we're going to throw it to a quick break as we try to pull one. We will see you all after a short break. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we are joined by the victorious Love Ego from Team Samsara. Congratulations on the win, Love Ego. You guys now move on to top 4 in the ACL.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, I mean, pretty straightforward. Sucks there were so many subs and we didn't get to play, their full roster. King K had to sub in for us, so that, I mean, that was good as well, but it sucks that they couldn't play at their full potential. I mean, other than that, I'm happy.
Good stuff. Yeah, we haven't gotten to see you on stream too much throughout the playoffs so far. Kind of walk us through a little bit about how things have gone so far. You had a 2-1 win up against Conviction Star in the first round, lost to Contingent, and now find yourselves in the lower bracket here. Kind of what's from your perspective, has the playoff bracket been like so far? What went wrong in the loss? How did things go in the win? And what are, how is that affecting you guys moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last series we played, we were really focused on OQs because OQs was kind of happening at the same time. So we had a lot of, we were prepping a lot of games for OQs specifically, and I think we just lost a little bit of focus. Luckily, it is double elimination, so I think we are whole league and try to win it out there. But I would say, I mean, failure wise, I think we fell a little bit short on OQs, and that kind of split focus didn't allow us to perform that week. But the goal is to just, I guess, keep practicing, keep playing, and try to take the title.
Stuff. So talk to me a little bit about how you guys have developed over the course of the split. With a lot of the players on this team are folks who have had a little bit less exposure to the amateur scene, especially like Kappa and Heretic, who are both relatively new in regards to competing in ACL and such. How do you feel like those players or anybody on the team as a whole have developed over the course of the split?
Yeah, I mean, Aeon and TB, let's start with them. I think they've been playing really good, or really they have really good synergy. They've been playing for a while together now, and they're kind of always consistent. Will always hold his own against some of the best players, and even find his opportunities for solo kills. He's a really good team player, so I think he is someone to watch out for in the future if he does kind of pursue this over the next year, see how he develops. But I think he's been performing really well. As for Heretic, I mean, I've been playing with him for 10 years now, so we have synergy in the bot lane, even though we haven't really played on a comp team too much together. But he's just a beast. Kind of trolls sometimes, but it's the nature of ADC. And K did a little bit of trolling as well, so I think it's just a ADC gene.
Good stuff. Happy to have King K back on the broadcast as well, even if it is just as a substitute for a bit. So coming in to your next round, you guys are going to be playing up against the winner of 4 Twinks and Their Father and Team Apex. Any thoughts on either of these teams, who you expect to take it and who you expect to play up against in the lower semis?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really look at the bracket or anything. I don't really look at the players. I just show up and let my team do the draft, and we either win or we lose. But hopefully, we win, and we have been winning, and I think it's good. I mean, I practice, but I don't really care about who we're playing. To be honest, that's more of the staff, management and coach. They kind of do all the scouting and stuff. So.
Good stuff. All right. Well, do you want to give last word to you, Love Ego? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we close out the stream for the night? Yeah,
I mean, shout out to my entire team, Aeon, Toothbooth, Heretic, and Kappa. We've all been practicing. They've all been putting in the work. And just shout out to them. They're an awesome group of people to work with and play with. So shout out to them.
Absolutely here. Thank you very much, Love Ego. Appreciate your time. Thank you for hopping on with me for a couple of minutes. And thank you, everybody at home, for tuning on in. We are going to be back on a Friday. Same bat time, same bat Twitch channel. Likely going to be the upper final, but there's been lots of reschedules this split, so always a chance that we'll be covering the lower semi as well, depending on how that scheduling goes. Either way, we hope to see you here for another ACL Best of 5. From myself, Quacks, and Caddy on production. We will see you guys next time. And one more shout out to Zen Market, your one-stop shop for buying products from Japan. It is code Aegis for 3,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. We'll see you all next time.
Bro, just use Zen Market.
Weebos.